Welcome back to WRPL, the podcast where we talk about all the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name is Ben.
And I'm Steve.
Talk to me, Goose. What are we doing today?
We are in the skies, my man. We're going Mach 10 and getting all the G forces. Not the hamsters, though.
No, that would have been a fun double feature. Yeah, we're talking about Top Gun Maverick, and we will also be talking about the first movie, Top Gun, not Maverick. And also, we're going to talk about the Bob's Burgers movie. One of my most, these two are actually on my list. It was the most anticipated, one of the most anticipated for me. Actually, yeah, it was number one, most anticipated. And then
Bob's Burgers was.
Bob's Burgers,
Yeah,
yes. And Top Gun Maverick was who asked for this?
right.
Why does this exist? So we'll see if that holds up or if I was completely off the mark.
But before we get into that,
Yeah, we have a few things. I don't really have a few. I have some things that I've been watching that have just started up, like Obi-Wan and Stranger Things, but they're still going. They're not completed. We'll talk about those later. And I started a new show called From, but I'm only a few episodes in, and I don't really want to talk about that yet. So I'm pretty empty on consumables. So we're gonna kick it to you. We're gonna kick it to you. So kick the tires and light the fires.
hey, references. Uh, so I played two games. Well, one was a DLC, one was a new game that just came out. I played, so the DLC first was The City That Never Sleeps. I think I may have mentioned it on the
I think you did.
podcast before that I had started it, but I hadn't beaten it. I have now beaten it, and it was just okay.
Yeah.
It's a DLC that I don't think really needed to exist.
A
Uh,
DLC for what? I don't think you said.
oh, I'm sorry, for Spider-Man
Mhm.
2018. It by the end of it, it does kind of have like a tie-in to the Miles Morales game in the sense of like Miles is always calling you during this
Mm.
DLC and just like talking to you about training and everything, and then at the end he kind of like gets a spare Peter mask and they just like go swinging together. Spoiler for anyone who cares about that. It's
Okay.
not like he's like part of the game, but you see Black Cat show up, but I mean the whole uh event is basically gang war is like broken out over New York, run by Hammerhead,
Mm.
who's a villain I didn't know anything, just a really strong metal plated
Yeah,
head guy.
it's like a D level
Yeah,
Spider-Man character.
and he just eventually, in order to gain more power, just steals robot parts and just becomes like a head on top of a robot, and it's kind of dumb.
Okay.
But
We
the
already have Rhino as a big robot
yeah,
guy with
so
a
that's kind of what I thought.
yeah.
It was just, I mean, he's got like lasers and missiles and stuff, versus Rhino, who's just strong. Uh, but pretty much every single mission in this game is just fight a big group of guys,
Mm.
which got tiresome really fast, especially because it had been so long since I played it
Mm.
that I kind of forgot how to be good at it. So I had to like relearn and
Yeah,
just had to like slowly pick these guys out one by one. Like,
which is the most one of the most fun things about the game, but
it,
you do it 50
yeah,
times in a row.
but it's not so much that it was constantly fighting the big group. It was constantly fighting the big group, and they all have machine guns, missile launchers,
Yeah.
special abilities. So it is so jarring that there's 50 things going on. It's like, yeah, you have spider sense, and but you can only dodge so much, and it's
Hmm.
like jumping out of the way, but you're jumping into another hail of bullets, or like there's a big hulking guy with a Gatling gun who like you can't punch down.
Hmm.
You have to like basically use special abilities to get him to stop shooting you. And he's like they follow you. It's like you can't just wall crawl your way out of it. They will find you. Like the AI in this is kind of hard. So it wasn't the most pleasant experience, and which was shocking because I love that game
Yeah.
and I loved Miles Morales, and I can't wait for Spider-Man 2. Turn off the dark,
Whatever it's
whatever it's
called.
called.
Here comes the dark.
uh,
Please turn it off.
but yeah, so that was a little disappointing. But
I'm not paying for the whole neighborhood to have the dark. Close the door. You're letting out the dark.
exactly.
Make DLC for Miles Morales.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't believe so.
Hmm. Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, you would think. Maybe they'll do something right before the new
Yeah.
game and just kind of as a lead into that. But anyway, so C,
Okay.
in terms of
And I understand going back to it is kind of hard. After I beat Miles Morales, and I beat that and completed it 100% much, much quicker
mhm,
than first Spider-Man, I'm like, you know what? there's a few things I didn't do in Spider-Man. I'm gonna go back and do them, and it's a lot harder. Miles Morales really is an easier game. They
Hmm.
limit how many sort of web types you have. You also get the spider sting special moves, and you could turn invisible.
Yeah.
So then when I was doing stealth in that first one, I was just getting seen all the time. I was like, man, Miles Morales really does kind of have like kitty gloves on at times.
Yeah, but I still had fun with that
Well, yeah, I love
game.
that game.
Sometimes easy is better. Uh,
That's why I love Uncharted. You
yeah.
know, they're not hard games.
So yeah, this DLC when it was originally released was broken up in three chapters, so you only got like a 2 or 3 hour game. I mean, they also add like extra like base missions or like
Mm,
collectible things that you can go around. So like there's more stuff you can do, but if you just play the story, you beat each DLC in like 2 hours.
okay.
Um, and I think they were like $5 a pop or $10 a pop at the
Hmm.
time. So I bought this I think for $20 for all three of them.
Okay.
So it wasn't like some egregious price,
Hmm.
but it was just like
There's four of them.
no, it's just three.
Oh, okay.
So the first one is all about Black Cat. The second one is dealing with the rise of Hammerhead, and the third one is Silver Sable comes
Mm.
in and she sort of like teams up with you because it's her tech that's getting stolen.
Mm.
She needs it. She needs the weapons to take back to her home country that's in a civil war. Um,
She
and
doesn't get in a big suit with a small head.
no, she
Okay.
does no. She gets in a big jet and helps you like shoot bad guys. Yeah, but like I said, see, I think they could have done something more interesting, or at least like make different missions, or just have different enemy types. Just because
Yeah.
it was just constantly beating up the same
Yeah.
five guys over and over and over again.
Okay.
Um,
What
but
was the other game you played?
the other game I played was Trek to Yomi.
All right. What's Trek to Yomi about?
So this is a kind of small independent game. I got it on the PlayStation Store for $20, and it's only like a 6 to 8 hour game. It is a samurai revenge story in the same style as Akira Kurosawa movies.
Huh?
The whole game is in black and white, and it's a side scroller where you go and you're seeking vengeance against the guy who killed your master when you were a kid and attacked your village, and you just go around killing a bunch of guys. But the twist of the game is that the guy actually kills you like halfway through the game, and then you travel the underworld and
Hmm.
kind of face essentially more of the same people, but now these people have like powers.
Did you
And
know that when you showed it to me last week?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think knew that there was a element of the game where you do go to some sort of other world, but because I saw I think a review of it, but it
Hmm.
didn't go into it. I just thought it was going to be like a dream sequence where it was
Okay.
just like, oh, okay, this is how you tie in sort of like Asian culture and all that kind of stuff. But nope, for like half the game, you are in the underworld fighting uh, essentially ghost samurais and ninjas,
Cool.
and so that's kind of fun. And until you sort of are able to come out of the underworld and finally face the big boss. This game was really cool stylistically. I saw complaints that the combat wasn't that great, and it's not the most interesting combat in terms of counters and all that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't say the combat was bad. My biggest complaint was once again, it was if there was enough guys around you, you're gonna die.
Hmm.
There was points where it was really frustrating where I was dying again and again and again, and you really sort of have to attack, kill one guy, back up, dodge arrows or whatever thrown
Hmm.
at you, run in, and you really had to do work. But what's great about it is that there is a lot of save points, and at every save point, you heal all the way back up.
Hmm.
So it was very generous with that, but it was generous with that because it knew like we're here to kind of kick your
Yeah.
ass a little bit.
Hmm.
But even if if you think the combat isn't that great, if you are a fan of cinema and like kung fu samurai kind of style movies, it's really really cool, and I would highly recommend it if you're a fan of that style of cinema and games.
Yeah, it looked fun, and how you're describing it is to a T. It really does look like an old samurai film.
Yeah,
I mean, film scratches and
mhm.
black and white and subtitles.
I mean, there's some really gorgeous shots in this game, and the fact that it's in black and white and looking at it, I'm just like, man, this is like really well directed.
Hmm.
Despite the fact that there is no color, it almost makes me want to go, I wonder what this would look like in color if
Hmm.
it was really they had the budget to make it a AAA game, and I mean, I guess it would just look like Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
So it was smart to do it this way. But yeah, I mean, just from style points alone, A on that. Overall, the game, just because it's too short and it was frustrating at times, I'd say B.
So same price as Spider-Man DLC, but much more of a game, and not just
Yeah, I mean,
tack onto the
it was a
same
standalone
shit.
game. They could probably make a sequel if they wanted to. I don't know what they would do. This is kind of the whole story. I
Hmm.
mean, unless it's about this guy's
You just
student or
tell a
just
different
a new
story
anime.
from a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
guy, but in the same style. Maybe change the year, go forward, go back, whatever.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, nothing else to say on that. So,
Cool. And did you watch or read anything?
I did not read anything, at least not to completion, and I don't have anything else to say. No, I'm still watching a couple things.
How are you on Attack on Titan?
I did finish Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Uh, it's great.
Yeah.
I
That's just one, two, and three, right? Four is coming.
So four is out, but they broke it up in three parts over three
Mm.
years. Um, yeah. So parts one and two are out. So the final, I think, I don't even know how many episodes it's going to be. I looked up the manga chapters to
Hmm.
see. Okay, so it goes. Let's say there's 150. In terms of episodes, they've gone to like 138. Like there's
Okay.
so little left,
Okay.
and like each episode's two or three chapters a piece. So I think they can only make like six episodes unless they do some really extensive stuff.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, so it's almost done. But there's a reason people say this anime is one of the greatest of all time. I didn't believe them because it's like people say Demon Slayer is fantastic, and I fucking hate Demon Slayer for the most part. And but watching this thing, it's incredible. It's the animation, the action sequences are cool. The way the world ties and the twists that I didn't see coming like into
Hmm.
the final season. And even though they changed animation styles in the last season, it still fits and it's just so cool, man.
So you think I should go back to it,
I
knowing who I am and what I like and dislike about anime?
I
Because I would have to start over at season one because I don't remember a whole lot. I
yeah.
couldn't just jump into season two. Is it worth me, Ben's time?
uh I can see you just going, it's fine because it still does have some of the classic anime tropes, but I wouldn't say that they're egregious. One of the things I like about it is there's no female character that's objectified
Mm.
or you know no one's fallen into their breast or there's a
Yeah.
scene where their clothes catch fire and they're like almost naked or
Yeah.
would they
They get regurgitated, but they're naked now and hot and slimy.
yeah no like all the women on the show are smart or capable. There's no like real damsel in distress kind of
I can't
scenario.
see, just a shot of them flying through the city on their wire things, and just all the girls are wearing skirts, and it's all just upskirt shots the whole time.
Yeah,
You can
no,
see that totally happening, and
the fact that pretty much every main character in this show is part of the military and they're all smart and capable and trained and qualified and they respect each other. And then you have the two of the three main characters. The one girl you can tell is clearly in love with the main character, but four seasons in, they never. I don't even know if they ever really hug. I can't remember if they
wow.
do. I mean, clearly they have appreciation for each other, but they have yet to kiss or anything. It's just you
There's
know,
monsters to kill. There's no time
yeah,
for hanky
and
panky.
yeah, she's the
Mikasa? Yeah.
Mikasa. Yeah, she's probably my I don't want to say my least favorite character, but she's the character who is given the least to do other than be fucking awesome at
Mhm.
killing monsters,
Yeah.
and she's badass. Like she has so many great like kills and stuff. She's the best in the squad next to Levi, who's their captain. But as a character, I don't think she's all that interesting. But I mean, all the side characters are great. Like usually when you watch animes, it's like the only the main character is really all that interesting. Or
Mhm.
there's like the one kind of funny side
Yeah.
character or something, but like all the side characters have their own arcs and grow in different ways. And guys who started out as douchebags are actually like now like part of the crew and I
Real
don't know,
character
real
development
character
and story.
and it doesn't take place in like 1 year. Like they start out the first couple of seasons, they're teenagers, but by the fourth season, they're like 19, 20 years old. So they're like full grown adults dealing with world ending scenarios, and
Hmm.
there's it's an incredible show, and I will be the first one to point out every flaw in anime and have a hard time, but man, it is good.
Okay. And
So
what
I
do you
think
watch it on?
uh, so every episode is on Hulu currently.
Okay.
The last, I believe, 12 episodes is subtitled, but I watched the rest in dub because I'm a dub guy.
Yep, I'm a dub guy too.
So, but I think the dub's great.
Yeah. Dub for animation, sub for live action. That's I think is the best default rule.
There's a lot of people who disagree with you,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
I think if you don't like this show, just stop watching anime.
Okay.
Because I think there's a lot in this show that I think would speak to you in terms of the horror element to it, how dark it is, how adult it is, how serious it's taken. It's not
Yeah, they're not
silly.
teenagers in
It's
high
not
school.
silly ever. I mean, they have lighthearted moments and all that kind of stuff, but it's never uh, cartoony, despite it being a
Hmm.
cartoon. It's real dramatic stuff, and I think it's the perfect anime for you.
Mm.
But if you don't like this,
There's
you're
no
not,
hope
there's
for
no
anything.
hope for anime. You're not gonna
Okay.
like anything
Well,
unless it's like a one-off movie kind
yeah.
of thing.
So what else? What else you got? Remember, I got nothing. It's all you till
Uh,
our main topics.
yeah, I have one episode left of We Own the City. The final episode of that aired last night. I
Okay.
haven't watched it yet.
Get to it next week,
We'll
I
get to it
guess.
next week. Stranger Things, I have one episode left. We can get to that next week
Yep, yep, yep.
before part two comes out. Unless you just want to wait 6 weeks or whatever it is.
We might as well just wait
Yeah.
until the very end.
Oh, okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
I mean, we can mention whether it's like, oh, I like where it's going so far,
Yeah,
or ugh, who cares? But no deep dive in
fair
any
enough.
sort of way.
Yeah, I feel like there's just things I'm watching, but nothing's ended.
Okay.
So
Well, you just took up 19 minutes with all that boring bullshit. I'm gonna have to cut out, Steve. So let's get to the real important stuff. What do you want to do first? You want to do Bob's Burgers first? I feel
I
like
think we have to.
it's quick, it's simple.
There's not. I think I have a lot to say
Yeah,
with
which I think
burgers.
is kind of unfortunate because when I was thinking about what I all right, so spoilers for everything. I didn't say it at the beginning, but as every episode, spoilers for everything. So I had worries going
Hmm.
into this. It was going to be a bad musical. That was I knew it was going to be a musical. It's like okay, some other songs aren't great. I
Hmm.
have the CD and I was listening to it over the weekend to kind of pump myself up for the movie. Some of those songs aren't that great, but when you have time and it's based on a bigger story, and I like the people who do their music, but I just had this big fear music was going to suck, and it was going to be that movie cartoon over animated, and I'm right and I'm wrong
Hmm.
on both of those things.
Agreed.
I made a pros and cons list for this movie, but before we get into that, you want to give a quick summary of what's Bob Burgers the movie or the Bob's Burger movie?
Sure. The Bob's Burgers movie
I hate
is
the title though. It sounds so weird. It's like Bob's Burgers sounds fine, but the Bob's Burgers movie sounds so weird.
so the Bob's Burgers movie is based on the show Bob's Burgers that you may or may not have seen on
Mm-hmm.
Fox.
Yeah.
It's been around for 12 seasons, I believe now, 11,
Jesus,
something like
yeah.
that. For
Who would
so
have thought?
over a decade now, the show's been around, and it is the second adult animated show to get a live action movie next to The Simpsons, which The Simpsons was an obvious choice.
South Park got one.
Oh, you're right, you're
Yeah,
right.
Futurama had like direct to video
Yeah, I'm
ones,
not
but
counting those.
no
Like Family Guy had
theatrical.
direct to video ones too, but
Yeah.
no, I'm not counting
What
those.
would a Family Guy movie be?
Who cares?
Ugh.
Anyway, so this movie is about the Bob's Burgers family. There's a sinkhole.
Is that their last name?
Yep, the Bob's Burgers family. Uh, there's a sinkhole in front of their restaurant, and in the sinkhole they discover a dead body, and that dead body leads to the kids trying to figure out who committed the murder, so they can save their restaurant because the restaurant is losing money because no one can get to the restaurant from the sinkhole, and their landlord is would help them out, but he's currently in jail because he's the top suspect in the murder.
Yeah.
So it's
And they
up
have to
to the family to save their restaurant.
exactly. So initial thoughts. Is this a good movie?
It is.
Agreed. Is it a great movie?
No.
No.
For me, which is what I expected, so I wasn't disappointed. It's an extended episode of Bob's Burgers,
Yes.
which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
It's just it's exactly what you're going to get. Like if you've seen a Bob's Burgers episode, this is a Bob's Burgers episode just longer.
They've done pretty much this story in a certain way when uh, Felix Fischoeder wanted to sell the wharf and promised Bob he would have this bistro on the beach, and he ends up like tying him underneath the pier and is gonna kill him. We've had that big conspiracy murder Wonder Wharf story already,
Hmm.
and the family has to figure out what's going on.
And see,
It's
I was
very
thinking,
familiar.
yeah, and I was thinking about the episode where they go into the old like abandoned factory
The
and
Taffy Factory.
taffy factory, and
Yeah,
Louise finds the body, but it was just a taffy
yeah,
guy that she made or whatever. So it was just kind of they took those two concepts and kind of blended them together and made a new movie.
yeah.
Um,
Can I go through my pros and cons list and we'll just chat about whatever?
sure.
Okay. So, first pro, it's very familiar. You aren't going to get something that is so outlandish that it's not Bob's Burgers.
Hmm.
This movie feels exactly like the show. They're not trying to do more or do less. It's exactly
This is
what it
what you
should
like.
be.
This is what we're gonna give you.
And then for the con is it's familiar.
Yeah.
It's nothing special when it comes to story. It like take the Simpsons movie, you got a crazy thing about the dome going over, whatever, you gotta save the town.
Hmm.
But then they take like a half hour detour of we're going to Alaska. And that's what like I didn't want. I didn't want them to go like the Belgers are going to Europe and then it's just the wacky European adventures. And that's fine for a second movie, a third movie or whatever, but that first one you gotta keep them in
Sure.
their town and the core uh, basics of the show, but it is so familiar that it's almost unnecessary.
Hmm.
It was like Fox said, "We're going to give you a movie," and they thought, "Well, we don't need a movie. We tell our stories in 22 minutes, and that's all I need." Well, you're going to make a movie, so figure it out. And they're like, "Crap! Well, let's just kind of cobble a bunch of things together, and we'll just call it a movie." Oh, what do we do with Tina? She likes Jimmy Jummer. God, she likes Jimmy
Jimmy
Jummer.
Jr.
I love that guy. Jimmy Jr. Okay, we'll do more of that. What about Gene? He's into music. Oh, okay, sure. He's doing a music thing, I guess. Whatever. So it's all so familiar that it's just like, why bother?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I thought about was I always look for what are the characters doing this movie? Like how do they change and grow?
Hmm.
Especially with this extended time, because now you have time to develop. You do all the characters in this movie have an arc, or do some fall to the wayside? Linda doesn't really get an arc.
No.
Gene doesn't really get much of an arc. A little bit of one, but you've seen him go like have his self confidence issues with playing music in front of
Yeah.
people a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So that's
With,
the thing.
with people that he is doing that in this movie.
Yeah,
It's just his band again.
Tina doesn't really get too much other than the Jimmy Jr. stuff, which once again we've seen before.
Hmm.
It's Louise. It's a Louise movie.
Yeah.
She's the one who gets the big arc,
Hmm.
and I liked her.
For Bob too.
Yeah, and Bob too. And I liked both of that. It's just I wish they did something else with the whole family. Um,
Yeah. If because I had a theory, and maybe I told you or not, but in every trailer, in every poster, Gene is holding his little invention thing. It's a
mhm.
little napkin with a rubber band and two spoons on it to make that's his new sound. And I just figured when we got to the end, it would be oh no, we gotta connect these two circuits, but how can we reach? Oh, I have this thing. I will put it in the thing and I'll save the day. It's just a thing he carries around and it comes and it helps at the end, but it really doesn't. It doesn't do anything. It's not like the frequency picks a lock or anything.
A silly
It's
thing.
just a silly thing. And then you have Tina who always has issues with Jimmy Jr. And it's what does she really learn through all that things she's already learned in previous episodes that there just wasn't any point and it was only seemed to be put in because well they got to do something,
Yeah.
and I just wish some of those things were tied in a little tighter. Like I like we get to see Bob's mom for the first time, and I really thought the movie was going to be about her and how she died, and maybe there'd be a mystery behind it, and it would unlock this secret past. And oh, look, Bob has a bunch of family members. One of those kind of crazy
Hmm.
stories. And his story ties in a little bit with Luis with having her ears be made, but it's just kind of like dumped on you at the very end. It's not set up in any sort of way.
Yeah, it was certainly played for, this was the scene that's going to pull at your heartstrings and
Hmm.
everything. And I liked how small it was in terms of it wasn't some real big deal or anything. It was just, oh, your hat was made and it reminds me of my mom, and
Hmm.
here's a quick scene of her holding my hand and she's wearing a pink hat. Now you're wearing
Hmm.
a pink hat, and oh, the bunny ears. I just had extra material. It
Yep. There's no deeper meaning behind it.
nope. It's just a pink hat that I made because it looks like my
Yep.
mom's or
Yep.
whatever. I like that it was small, but it was just like because we've never seen his mom or he's never, at least from my memory, talked enough about his mom to
Yeah.
make me like really care about that connection.
Yeah. He
It's
just
like,
said
oh,
that she
this is
died.
nice. Yeah,
And we
but
don't know it. Like, did she die when he was a kid? Did she die later in life? We just know his mom's dead.
yeah. So it's just when that scene played out, I was like, oh, I want to cry at this, but
Yeah.
it's just not
It's
enough to
not.
get me there.
Yep. My next pros and cons. Pros. Beautiful animation. It
Yep.
is Bob's Burgers has always been a really nice looking show, regardless of what you think of like character designs and
Mhm.
everyone with their no chin and everything. It's a little odd, but I love it. I've grown so accustomed to it. But all the colors are amazing. They really have a great color palette. Everything
Mhm.
pops. It's not muted in any sort of way. And this is also has that same color palette, but they're able to get a lot more smaller details in animation. It's not just a walk cycle and a talk cycle. You get a lot of more gestures. But the con for this, it's overly animated.
Right.
There's parts where they're doing a little song and they're dancing, and it's a weird little move, and it looks so weird to see them get these moves very accurately drawn. It takes you out because it shouldn't be that smooth. And you know how a cartoon is supposed to move,
Mhm.
and you've seen these cartoons move for 12 years, and then they start doing things you've never seen them do, and it just really takes you out. Plus all the shadows. Everything is shadowed. There's a crazy strong light source in every single scene. Everybody's face has shadows. And it was the same with the Simpsons movie.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see the animator, like the behind the scenes of that, and just kind of see like why does it look like this? What is the creative choice behind it?
Mm-hmm.
Is there some sort of technical aspect that I don't understand?
It makes it look more
Or
dynamic. It makes it more rich. And look, it takes longer to do it, so it looks nicer. So it's not just a TV. We're not just putting a TV show up there. This is a
yeah.
real movie.
I mean, at the beginning it was very noticeable, and 20 minutes in I kind of forgot about it. So
Yeah.
I guess like that's the
Yeah.
the bonus to it is just like, yeah, it might be drawing for a little bit, but you're gonna forget about it in no time. And
Yeah.
that's yeah, it worked for me. But
We said like it's a good Louise story, but not a great Tina and Jean story. Uh, Pros, good songs.
hmm
Cons, I don't remember any of the songs.
yeah.
There's a lot of Bob's Burger songs, and I have rewatched the show a ton of times, so they do get stuck in my head a lot easier. But none of them stand out. There are some shows, some songs from the show that just click instantly, and I only had to hear it the one time, and I'm humming it. Couldn't tell you a single thing about any of the song except two songs mentioned diarrhea, and it's like Bob's Burgers is never like PC but they're not like very crass. So like
Yeah.
Linda sang a song about like Bob having diarrhea before. It's not a big deal,
Mhm.
but twice, and they're two different songs. Bob sings about diarrhea, and didn't quite love that.
Well, I mean, I remember the first opening song I thought was pretty great. I thought
Mm-hmm.
it was a good way to, as the quiet little mountain town
Yeah.
kind of song
Mm-hmm.
for Bob's Burgers. And so I really liked that song, but I agree that I couldn't tell you any lyrics to this song other than,
Mm-hmm.
I do remember they said diarrhea at one point. And I remember liking the Trailer Park song. Once again, don't know what they really sang about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you keep saying this movie's a musical. I wouldn't really consider this a musical. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
musical numbers, but
Okay.
like Mulan, I guess technically is a musical, but there's only like two fucking songs in that movie,
Sure.
and it's an hour and a half.
I guess I just defaulted to being a musical because the show is so musical in
Yeah,
every single episode, and you'll have one or two songs within that short amount of time. That episode is a musical, and then they said the movie would also have plenty of songs, and so it's like this movie is a musical. But then, yeah, you're right. There's only about four
yeah.
major
I
songs in
mean,
it.
yes, technically it is a musical. It's just when I think of a musical, I need at least five songs,
Yeah,
and if there was five songs, it didn't feel like it.
yeah.
Because it unless they like front loaded the song at the beginning and
Mm-hmm.
then just let the last
Yeah.
hour kind of play out or last 30
There's a
minutes.
long chunk where there's no
Just yeah,
songs.
I need if it's gonna be a musical in quotation marks, I need evenly spaced out
Yeah.
songs.
Uh, Pros, get to see a lot of characters that I do enjoy. Cons, Bill Hader couldn't come back and do Mickey, so they had to recast him.
Yeah.
I didn't quite notice it in this one. They did it in an episode and it was very obvious. It
Hmm.
sounded a lot better in this,
I agree.
but it was just kind of sad. But I will say this could have been an overboard of characters. There's a lot of Bob's Burgers characters, like Marshmallow.
Mm.
Marshmallow is pretty popular within the show. She doesn't show up. I mean, in the credits, but she doesn't have a speaking part.
Gail shows up in the credits, and
Yeah,
it's like,
Gale's not
man,
in this
Gail.
at all. Yeah, there's so many little characters that have shown up so many times. You would think they would get a line or two, and they don't. And that's really good to show the restraint. Even Tina's friends of Tammy and Jocelyn and Zeke and Jimmy Jr. don't get a lot of time, and they're in a
Hmm.
ton of episodes.
Right.
And I was very surprised they didn't do the Simpsons thing of, well, we got to show everybody.
But I think in The Simpsons' defense, well, one, I like the Simpsons movie.
Oh yeah,
Simpsons movie I think is great, but well, one, Simpsons was on twice as long before
sure,
they got their movie,
sure.
but also the difference between Simpsons Bob's Burgers is every character on The Simpsons is, I don't really like this term, but iconic in a way. Like
Sure, they're all well
they're
known.
all well
You
known.
know them by
Where
name.
Bob's Burgers characters, you really,
Yeah,
unless you're a
a suit.
real fan of the show, you really don't know these characters. Like I like the show, but I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say I'm a super fan. So there's a bunch of characters. Like I don't know the roller skating guy's name. If
I
you
think
know.
it's just roller skating guy.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great. I do know his name, but yeah, that it was nice.
It's Linda's friend with the nagging voice. Yeah,
Beats me. Yeah,
Gretchen. Yeah.
yeah. So looking at the background, I recognized a lot of these characters or the characters who only got one line. It's like okay, I know they're from the show or whatever. But I agree, I appreciate that they didn't feel the need to throw everyone in. But I think that was also a very smart, conscious choice
Mm-hmm.
because like no one cares about these people. Let's
Yeah.
just focus on the family and then pepper in whoever we need to tell the story. That's the plus and minus of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a pro or a con,
Yeah.
but because you do when you watch I was expecting to see more characters, and I like a lot of the characters, but how are you really going to fit them in
Yeah.
organically?
It should be about the Belcher kids figuring this out, not Tammy and Jocelyn and Zeke and regular size Rudy. And, like, I
Hmm.
love all those characters and I want to see them, but no, this is just leave it to the family. You could have some next movie, you could have some crazy Stand By Me adventure. Wait, they already fucking did that when they went to go see the two butted goat. Never mind. Like, you can do these other characters in later movies if they ever decide to, but
I mean, were there a lot of people in your theater? Because mine actually had a decent number.
we were in a very large theater.
Oh, okay.
I'd say 25 max.
Oh, okay.
Max. Not as funny as I expected it to be. There's some Bob's Burgers that are really, really good,
Hmm.
but I feel like there's a lot of times Gene will just say something and it's great. But
Hmm.
I'd say most of the time his little one-liners aren't my favorite. And this movie felt like it was a ton of not so great Gene one-liners
Yeah,
and not a lot of jokes. I did chuckle at times, and I saw who the real villain was, right from the get go.
sure.
Yes, he's been in episodes too, but of all people to get shown in this movie, yeah, this guy's the villain.
Yeah, and we'll see. When I watched the movie, like I said, because I'm not a super fan, I didn't think he was on the show before. I thought
Oh
it was a
yeah,
character created for this movie. I was like,
no,
oh, well, of course it's him. And then after my wife came home from the movie, Bob's like there was a Bob's Burgers marathon on,
mm,
just 4 episodes, and we turned it on, and it was the episode where he was introduced. I
yeah,
was like, oh, what are the chances that we just
yeah.
happened to like come
I
up
think
with this
he's only been
episode?
in two
Yeah,
episodes.
so I was just like, oh, so he was a character, and
Yeah,
she remembered him from the show,
yeah.
but I totally forgot about him.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. I enjoyed it. I probably give it a B minus.
Yeah, I'd
It
say B minus as well.
it's definitely better than any sort of C level movie, but it didn't hit the highest highs that I know Bob's Burgers could hit,
Hmm.
but it definitely didn't hit any of the lowest lows, which aren't that low because pretty much every episode of Bob's Burgers is good. There's not a
Yeah,
lot of terrible ones.
I just wish there was a joke because I laughed as well, but I can't remember a single
Mhm.
joke where I was like, man, that's good. I can't wait to
Yeah,
talk to Ben about that joke.
yeah, when you were going through the series for the first time, you'd always be like, okay, in this episode, Gene said this. Oh, and in this one, you always had a funny joke. There's nothing in here that I can quite remember.
Yeah, I the only thing. Well, let me ask you, what's your favorite part of this movie? What's the thing you like the most? Because I want to tell you what I
Hmm.
like the most.
I really enjoyed them finding the secret lair and just having the fish odors kind of explain their plan
Mhm.
of trying to escape. I just I also really liked them selling the burgers on the dock and being chased by the carnies. I like that. I don't know. What about you?
Well, this is why we're friends, because the whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, well, first off, I mean, I've seen it before in the show, so I didn't really count it, but I love Felix's house,
Yes.
just a big rich person treehouse.
Uh,
But when they go down the secret lair, I was like, this is the coolest. Like, if I was a rich guy and just had infinite money, this is the kind of shit I would do with my money. It's
yeah.
just like build secret lairs that, like, I have an underwater lair, I have a lair in my treehouse. It's just, just looking around, it's like this is so cool. And of course, there'd be some submarine ride that they retrofitted to actually be a functioning submarine
Yeah.
that
Which
doesn't
didn't
it
work.
didn't actually work. Yeah, but the whole time I was just like, man, I love how cool these places are that they get to go to. Um, but the only other thing I want to say about this movie is so there's a character in Bob's Burgers who I love, but I also hate a lot of times. And luckily, this movie made me love this character, and it's Teddy.
Really?
Yeah, I there's a lot of episodes of Bob's Burgers where I have a hard time watching Teddy because he's so overly into the family
Yeah.
that he can be grating. It's like, why do you keep this guy around? Like he is,
I
uh,
think if they had a choice, they would tell him to fuck off. But he's a customer a day,
yeah,
at least a day.
and it's just he's so he's annoying and just he would drive me insane if I had to deal with this
Yeah,
guy every single day.
for sure.
But then there's certain episodes of Bob's Burgers where he is because he's so devoted to the family, we're just like, well, of course you keep this guy around. He will do anything for you. Like he
Hmm.
only wants the best for Bob and his restaurant and his family. He's the uncle that's not really their uncle.
Hmm.
And this movie didn't put Teddy in a bad light at all,
Mm.
other than like he's a shitty carpenter or whatever for building this.
Which is fair because he's not.
No,
He's
not a carpenter,
good.
but
He's
yeah,
good at his job. He can make things, but I
yeah.
think it was just the pushing it around
Yeah,
real fast
right,
that
right,
made
right.
it collapse.
But him showing up with a card and just being so excited and just like wanting to throw on an apron and just helping the family is like, don't, I'll take the card. You guys split up and I don't know.
Yeah.
Just I really, really like Teddy in this movie.
Yes.
Uh,
But
he's just a character that's hit or miss for me, and I'm glad that he didn't drive me up to the wall in this. This
and you take the flip side, like the episode where Linda and the kids are gone, so Teddy helps Bob run food, and he refuses to write down the orders, and he's like getting jalapeno juice in his eye, and it's so frustrating. Like, dude, you're trying to help, do it the way they tell him to, and so I get why people hate Teddy. I love Teddy. I love Teddy. I love Gail. They're so obnoxious, but they have such great voices.
yeah,
I have to love their characters just because they just anything they say sounds funny.
yeah. Nothing against the voices. I love the voices. It's just from a character standpoint, especially because Bob is the absolute straight man in every episode. He's always just like, oh my
Oh my
god.
god.
Uh, he just wants some normalcy, and everyone in his life is so loud and annoying, or crazy, or
Yep.
saying or doing inappropriate things, and
I
he's
just
just
my
like,
food.
I just want to make burgers,
Make some
and
money.
these people just like won't let him do that, and so I like when positive things happen.
All right, so I know you don't like Gail. I know you don't like Teddy. You're gonna be
I'm fine with Gail. There's a couple episodes where Gail's just kind of like, all right, you're just a psycho.
yeah. You're a
But
crazy
I
person.
like Gail is much less hit or miss for me than
Okay.
Teddy. Teddy's like 50-50. Gail's like 75-25.
Okay. Now, if you had to do a cross country road trip with one of them, who would you pick?
God. Oh man. Do I have a bullet to eat?
Nope. Nope. You're driving. They're your co-pilot. They're gonna help with directions, help with music, keep you company. You're gonna go
Uh,
across the country, and hey, you get to choose how fast you go. And do you do it in 2 days? You do it in four?
Teddy, because Teddy has a skill set that, if there's some sort of wacky thing where the car breaks down, he would have the skill set to
Yes.
fix it or get us out of there. And if something, happens, like I imagine it could be like that episode where they have to like truck through the snow and have to like carry Gail all the way
Oh
back
yeah.
like to the gas station to get gas for the car or something because we break down on the
Yeah.
road. Like she would be useless and annoying versus
Impediment.
yeah,
But
where Teddy might be annoying, but he would be the first guy to be like, okay, Bob or Steve, you stay here in the car. I'll go to the gas
yeah,
station. And he might not come back, but at least he's willing to go.
absolutely. And Gail would just be like, "It's hot out there. I'm gonna stay with my cats."
Oh, the cats are coming on the road trip too?
I think she would insist at least one cat would
Oh,
come with you.
God. Okay. Yeah, definitely Teddy.
Uh, I think that's all I have to say about Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, I mean,
It's recommend.
we talked about it longer than I thought we were.
Yeah, about 20 minutes.
Yep.
Uh, one of my most anticipated. I don't know if it'll make my top 10. Still got half a year, more than half a year to go, but it's on the enjoyable side. If you love the show, you'll like this movie.
Yeah.
I can't see any fan of the show hating this movie and thinking it does it a disservice. But if you're not diehard on Bob's Burgers, you probably don't have to see this.
Yeah. I think the only people that would dislike it are the people who maybe think like, "Oh, I love Bob's Burgers so much. This is going to be the greatest thing I've ever seen." And you go and it's like, "Oh, it's just fine."
Yeah.
You might go like, I didn't like it because
Mhm.
it's just fine." But other than that, yeah, I don't think it's gonna offend anybody in terms of the fandom.
And it's funny when you hear people talk about The Simpsons, like, oh, well, it stopped being good at season 9,
Hmm.
and South Park stopped being good around season 12 or whatever it is. You don't hear anything about Bob's Burgers that way. It's not like, well, 1, 2, and 3 are strong, and then they get worse and worse. It's like every season is strong. There's
Hmm.
not, and I do believe there was a season that I watched and went, this is the worst season, but it's
Hmm.
still better than a lot of things. But you never hear the, oh, well, they peaked at at season 5, and it's all downhill from here.
I mean, we may be in the turning point now.
Yeah, maybe.
We're 12 seasons in, and if
Yeah,
South Park stopped being, I mean, South Park stopped doing 22 episode long seasons like
sure.
ages
Yeah,
ago. So they have a little bit more leeway where Bob's Burgers is making 22 episodes a season every season like The Simpsons.
yeah,
Uh,
more or less.
yeah,
Some seasons are pretty short.
but yeah, I'm impressed they've been able to keep the quality, and I think that has a lot to do with them not doing outrageous stuff. Like they're
Yeah.
not doing. I mean, I like Treehouse of Horror
Mhm.
episodes. I like when animation shows deviate from the
I
formula.
mean, even Bob's Burgers has their own, like, we tell three mini stories
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
within. They always have a Halloween, a Christmas, and a Thanksgiving episode.
But there's times where Simpsons kind of break their own. Like there wouldn't
Yeah.
be a giant dome over the town, and they ride a motorcycle around. And
Yeah.
Bob's Burgers is very grounded in reality. Like they're
Yeah.
not doing crazy stuff
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. There may be a huge chase scene underneath a pier in, like, crazy go karts and stuff. And that's somewhat believable. They're not jumping it onto the roller coaster and taking the loop de loops
Right,
and
right,
jumping over the Ferris wheel or anything like that. So,
right.
yeah. So, thumbs up from us. So, this is a smash.
Hmm.
A smash burger.
Oh.
So, our next big release is Top Gun Maverick.
Hmm.
And in preparation, well, Steve had never seen Top
I
Gun,
until this week I've never seen the original.
and it had been years and years. And I know I've mentioned it in the past. My older sister, she pretty much had four major movies of her childhood, and it was Star Wars, Dirty Dancing, Grease, and Top Gun. And so I have seen those movies many, many times. And, it's been a long time since I've seen Dirty Dancing. I'm sure rewatching it will be like, oh my God, that's what it's about. I mean, it took me years to realize it was like there was an abortion story in it. That shit just flew right over my
I've
head.
never seen Dirty Dancing either.
Dirty Dancing's a good one. And Top Gun, I really didn't know the story much as a kid either. It's just like,
It really is in one.
yeah, cool guy goes to school. They do airplane stuff, and then they kill anonymous bad guys. The
Yeah,
end. And that pretty much is the story.
yeah,
But some of the context was lost on me, so I needed a rewatch. Because not that I thought it was necessary. I'm sure that like they would have clued me in to anything I needed to know. I'm glad I did.
yeah.
Uh, this was a fun watch. So this being actually before we even get started that before we watch this, I asked you what did you know about Top Gun without seeing it, and you were pretty good. So you knew that there were two characters named Goose and Iceman. You knew somebody died. You knew there was a volleyball scene and it was homoerotic. You knew the Danger Zone song and that it was goofed in Hot Shots.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Pretty accurate.
yeah, you don't name any actors in it or any plot points, but yeah, that's a pretty concise of what Top Gun
I mean, I
is.
knew Val Kilmer was Iceman. It's just I thought Val Kilmer was Maverick's like co-pilot or
Yeah.
like his buddy,
Mm-hmm.
but they were actually rivals in the movie
Yeah.
versus Goose, who is an actor who I've probably seen in other stuff, but I don't know that actor's name.
Anthony Michael Hall.
What? That's not anything Michael Hall. Goose?
Yeah.
Oh,
Isn't that's his name? Anthony Michael Hall from ER?
no,
What's his name?
I don't know.
Hold on, I got it up right here.
Anthony Michael Hall, the kid from 16 Candles?
No,
What are you talking about?
Anthony
There
Edwards.
you go.
Anthony
Okay.
Edwards. Yes. Yeah, he was in ER. He was one of
Oh,
the main guys
I
in
never
ER.
saw you. It was
I
before
neither
my
did I,
time.
but
Uh,
but you have like Tim Robbins and Michael Ironside and Tom Skerritt. And there's a lot
yeah.
of people in that one.
So, what did you think of Top Gun as someone who had seen it before but has now
I I,
rewatched it?
I really enjoyed it.
Uh-huh.
Like I see the appeal for my sister, but she also had a huge crush on Tom Cruise. Huge crush on Tom Cruise and John Travolta.
Okay.
You know, two Scientologists, possibly closeted, you know, weirdos. Uh, so my poor sister, she knows how to pick them. But I didn't realize how much of a fucking psycho he is in this movie. Like Tom Cruise, aka Maverick, he just has like the craziest shit-eating grin on his face through most of the time, and his actions on how he like picks up women are just really crazy behavior. He's like the coolest fucking guy in the world and he's the most handsome, but he just comes off like an absolute psychopath. And it's almost a parody. Like this is the movie. I know it does get parodied, but when you need the best of the best of the best, who could get any girl and you know is the rival to everybody's rival, this is the movie that's the book, the textbook
hmm
who you should copy off of because he's nuts in this movie.
Well, in what way?
Just like okay,
I mean, I'm excluding the follow a woman into the bathroom scene.
yeah, yeah. So he does has this pickup line. He says he only tried it twice, but I bet that's bullshit. Where he just starts singing to a girl, and at least she calls him out on it. But then yeah, he just follows her into the bathroom, and she's just kind of like, "Oh, look at this guy, how aggressive." Uh,
Stuff that probably mostly only works in the movies.
he just comes off as so insufferable. Like he is so fucking cool and he's so good at everything that he doesn't really have to listen to you. And then he does the thing. He should be in trouble, but they're always like, you know, but we can't fault you for it because you are the best of the best. And it's
Yeah, I mean, none of that really bothered. Like, I could see the argument of I don't necessarily believe Tom Cruise as the cool guy or like
mm-hmm,
the like. Obviously, Tom Cruise is a very handsome man and can get very beautiful women, but like you would think that Val Kilmer's character would be the more stereotypical hotshot
mm-hmm,
handsome guy who like can like he's the guy who you would have like I would imagine like oh that guy's Maverick like that's the loose cannon who
mm-hmm,
can like doesn't play by the rules like Tom Cruise and maybe it's just because like I've seen Tom Cruise for 30 years of my
mm-hmm.
life and he's always just been the small guy who's made amazing action movies
Yeah.
like he is the quintessential action star but at the same time I look at him like that guy's not an action star
Now,
it's weird but I like Tom Cruise in this movie. I don't think he's necessarily a psychopath.
he came off as
I
a
mean,
crazy person.
yeah, but I think that's part of the the character in his thing is just like yeah I'm a little bit crazy but that's what makes me the best of the best but not in a very badgering annoying way. I don't think he it ever really came off as I'm endangering people on a regular basis just to like be cool or anything. It
Mm-hmm.
was just like oh I know I can do this. Other than the occasional just like, oh well, you left your wingman, I gotcha. But it's like he's learning those lessons because he's still in fucking school.
Sure, I get that, but what you were saying before, like this should have been Iceman is the big piece of shit, larger than life. I know my shit don't stink. And then Maverick, he may have those same characteristics, but he's a bit more humble
Yeah,
about it. And this dude isn't humble at all.
yeah. It's weird because Maverick is kind of also the bad guy in the
Hmm.
movie. Like, yeah, there's the enemy that they don't say, but it's Russia.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I remember all the bad pilots being like Middle Eastern. Like I know you couldn't see their face, but I remember them speaking with like a Middle Eastern accent and you could like maybe see the skin on their neck. That's not true at all. They're all white people. You can like see the light shine through their mask
mhm.
and they're white people. So was that just my childhood mind of we're in the Gulf War and so the people from the desert that with dark skin are the bad guys and I just transplanted that onto these characters.
Yeah, I guess
I
just
don't know.
right.
So I guess I am. Yeah.
No, but yeah. So I yeah, even in a movie where there are actual bad guys, Maverick is still kind of because most of the movie you don't see the enemy. They don't really talk
Hmm.
about fighting the enemy. It's just like we're preparing for the enemy. Uh, but it's just the enemy of this movie is Maverick's ego and can he work with the team and
Hmm.
complete the missions and eventually he learns to you can be my wingman anytime kind of stuff. Uh, but yeah, I this was my first time watching it, and I think a lot of times watching older movies, they feel dated or they don't look that good because we've come so far in terms
Hmm.
of uh, technology and the way we were able to film stuff and
Yeah.
CGI. But for a movie made in the '80s, the flight sequences were
Pretty
great.
good. Yeah.
Uh, I thought the movie was fun, and I thought all the acting was pretty solid. The the weakness of this movie is the characters are all kind of one note
Yeah.
and there isn't much of a story, which usually those are the two main components that I look for the most. So this movie in a weird way is the antithesis of what I like in a
Yeah.
movie. It has none of those things, but it works somehow, and
Hmm.
it's just a fun dude movie. Uh, and I just had it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's just it is what it is, and I had a great time watching it, and I think it holds up to this day because it doesn't say anything specific. It's like, oh
Yeah.
well, we're at war with Russia because we got to take down this commie, or it doesn't try and push anything
Sure.
political or anything.
Because like when you are in that position, you don't really care about the politics. I'm here to fly this plane to do this thing. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter what the scenario is or who it's with. I'm just here to do the thing. So it's good for us as audience members. We don't know that either because it really doesn't matter. You just
yeah.
know plane bad, shoot down plane.
Yeah. So it was just kind of a fun. It's not even really an action movie, but it
Mhm.
also kind of is. It's just this weird movie that I don't even really know how to describe it. It's just fun.
Yeah,
Uh, Top Gun, I recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's a good time and it's a good companion piece to watch right before the new
yeah,
one.
absolutely.
And Goose's death worked for me. I like that they weren't shot down. He died in the crash. I like
Yeah,
that it was just like a malfunction
malfunction.
that killed
Shit
him.
happens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I liked their dynamic together. I thought they worked as a
he was very funny.
yeah. I liked Goose a lot. So because I liked him, he was the only person who like had other stuff in the movie
Got
besides
a
Tom
young
Cruise. He
son
had
and
a
a
young son
wife.
and a wife played by Meg Ryan, who I
Yeah.
didn't know was in this movie.
Nope.
And yeah, I thought his death and how that played and all that stuff. I think all that worked pretty well. Yeah,
Okay.
B plus for me.
Okay. I didn't. I don't think I rated this one. I think I just. It's a B for me.
Yeah, B plus.
Couple things. Okay, I want to say I love how short Tom Cruise is in this. They don't hide it. This is
We're talking about Top Gun.
no the first one.
The
The
first. Oh,
first
okay.
one because when he goes to the bar, he's standing next to Anthony Edwards and Val Kilmer, and he's tiny.
Yeah.
His ego hasn't inflated so much that he has to be on an apple box or anything to fudge his height. He is like short king, like epitome of what that is. That's Tom
Yeah, it's
Cruise.
interesting that they hired like all the tallest actors of that time to be in the movie with one of the shortest
Yeah.
actors.
And you know, it's like his star was rising and he's a very attractive dude. So I understand why they're like, yeah, we want this guy.
Yeah,
But then you cast everybody a little bit shorter so it makes sense because your lead now, like if you cast for Conan the Barbarian and he's only 5'3", why the hell would you do that? And when you have such a cocky dude, and maybe they did this on purpose. He's so cocky because he is compensating for his size, but they never really bring that up.
yeah,
So
yeah. They and Iceman's co-pilot was like this Dolph Lundgren looking dude. Like they're like
yeah.
every guy in this movie is like a hulking buff
Yeah.
hunk of meat,
Hmm.
and obviously Tom Cruise is buff and in shape in
Yeah.
this movie. Like everyone,
And I see why my sister fell in love with him. He's
yeah,
like he's such a handsome dude in this.
yeah, everyone on the team is like Goose is the most unattractive.
Yeah, but it's like he's supposed to be a funny one, so
But
he doesn't have to be like good looking.
but
He's got a
he's the
mustache.
only one with like a wife and kids and everything. Everyone else are just like these like handsome buff guy. And one of the things we talked about was I had heard. Do you remember the show Best Week Ever or Best Year or whatever it was?
I think they did
They did them
both, all
all.
of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's the first time I heard about Top Gun. Growing up, when that show was on, they talked about the year is 1985 and Top Gun is the biggest movie of the year. And they talk about that movie and they're just cracking jokes.
Hmm.
And one of the things they talked about was how homoerotic it
Yeah,
was. And so I was watching this movie. It wasn't as homoerotic as I thought it was going to be,
sure.
but it was pretty homoerotic.
There's
Like,
lots of scenes in locker rooms
yeah,
and bathrooms with just towels.
yeah. And it's mostly just between Iceman and Maverick.
Yeah.
Like, there's multiple scenes where they're like so close to each other's faces, like, oh, this is the sex scene.
Uh-huh.
Like, I know he's talking to I forget the actress's name in this movie,
Kelly
but
McGillis.
Kelly McGillis, yeah. But like, I think these two guys are gonna fuck this. Like, they're just gonna their sexual tension rivalry is just gonna build up to the point of just like, know what, hot shot, let's get some hot shots. And just like,
Because they're just in each other's faces, like, oh, I heard you're the best. Yeah, I can do anything. I'd really like to see that. Well, maybe I'll show you sometime. It's just like, okay, so there's a line, and they're explaining like uh specs on one of the planes, and so they say everything, and this guy says, "This gives me a hard on," and
Mhm.
his friend leans over and says, "Don't tease me." That there's no subtext there. That's just text.
I mean, that's just dude talk, but at the same time, it's like,
Oh, don't tell me you got a hard on, man. You're gonna give me a hard on. It's like they could have used another line, and I bet they thought it sounded cool
yeah,
that these dudes fuck chicks, but no, these guys went back to the bunk and
yeah.
sucked each other off.
I mean, you and I have never been in the military, but I bet a lot of the military is gay jokes and just dudes talking about having sex with each other, but
Mhm.
not. I mean, some of them probably do, and some of them just like talk about it all the time because there's no one to fuck. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
uh, honestly, I think the movie would have been funny if there was just a random like male sex scene in the 80s between these two guys. But I mean,
No way. Never would
it
have
was
happened.
it was never going to
Never,
happen.
never, never.
But like if it'd just be funny to see it. It was just like, oh wow, I didn't expect like
No, if anything, it would be played for jokes of like you think he's fucking a dude, but it's actually a woman, and oh, isn't that funny that someone could be gay? That's what the joke would be.
yeah. There's so much stuff you could do with this if you were making like a Top Gun porno. It's just like
Change
I
some
got
of the music.
the need for speed, and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
hammer away.
yeah. Take the tires with
Hey,
the
we're
fires.
getting too into it.
If you change some of the musical cues, yeah, it's Cinemax gay porn for
Yeah,
sure, for sure. And I'm sure it already exists.
sure.
2 seconds. Let me go on to YouTube and see if I put in gay Top
It's
Gun.
just gonna be called Top Cum. That's my guess.
Well, it just depends on what you're into. There's Top Gun and then there's Bottom Gun.
Oh my god.
Yeah, oh, right here. Top Gun, gay montage, 3 minutes, 8 seconds. And then there's a thing.
Do not play it. Do not play it.
Tarantino on Top Gun's hidden subplots.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, there's another one about him talking about Top Gun. This is called Top Gay. You know, yep, there's a lot. So I'll be watching these later too, for sure.
Tune in next week for our review.
The 17 gay parodies. Let's see.
We rank them from best to worst. Yeah, but do you have anything else to
I
say?
have I have a few
Okay.
things. I'll say Tony Scott. It's a second movie. He was able to kind of cut his teeth on something before he found his really obnoxious style of, double exposures, zooming in and out, and
Hmm.
weird thumping techno
Yeah,
music,
nothing
and
about this movie screamed Tony Scott to me, really.
not at all. Uh, oh, I think they only say his name. His name is Pete Mitchell,
Hmm.
which I never knew that growing up. I think they only say Pete Mitchell once in Top Gun. They may say, like, oh, he's Mitchell's kid. Someone may call him Pete, but I think they only say Pete Mitchell one time. Whereas in this new movie, it's like Pete Mitchell, it's like 14 times in the first 20 minutes. They really hammer it home. Um, cool name for a hot shot. Pete Mitchell's
Yeah,
kind of
if my
dorky.
call sign was Maverick, I'd go by Mav or Maverick
Yeah,
over Pete Mitchell.
yeah. My
Sounds like a
sister
Mormon.
my I mean, it's kind of same topic, but when my sister, who loves Top Gun, got her new cat, she was looking for names, and I was like, "Oh, you should name him Goose. I think Goose the cat is pretty funny."
Hmm.
And he could always be like, "Talk to me, Goose," and hopefully he would meow back to you. And so she like took the idea and she named her cat Maverick. Not nearly as fun,
I
but
mean, Maverick's a good name.
it's a good name. I think
Yeah,
it's more of a dog name, but
right.
You have your dog Maverick and your cat Goose. That's good. But another reason why she's so in love with this movie.
I'm not a cat person, but if I got a cat, I'm officially naming it Goose. I'm feeling it.
I think the only thing I have left. I mean, I thought it was kind of weird that it was called Fighter Weapon School. I don't know, never heard of that before.
Yeah.
But I love the coffee joke. When he buzzes the tower and he spills
Hmm.
coffee all over him and he gets in trouble and then he's getting reamed at and he exits the door too quick and he bumps into like an orderly and he gets coffee all over him again.
It's an SNL
It's a
sketch.
good, setup payoff. And then of course at the very end he buzzes it one more time, spills coffee on it. I don't even know who that character really is. I don't
Just the guy in the tower.
it's
Just
like doesn't have any real lines. It doesn't add anything to the story, but it's a fun little thing.
mhm.
Um, is that it? That it for Top Gun?
Yeah. Top Gun. A lot of fun. Holds up after 30 years.
Yeah,
Worth a watch if you haven't seen it.
yeah. And before we truly get into Top Gun Maverick, so there's the new trend is legacy movies. You bring back the old cast, even if it's been 30, 40 years, and you give the folks another shot. We've had a ton of them. I'm going to just read off a few of them.
And let's see how many of them are actually good.
Okay. So Mad Max, Matrix, a little bit, Blade Runner, Tron Legacy, Creed, Doctor Sleep, Star Wars, Train Spotting, Ghostbusters, Return to Oz, Scream, Halloween. You get a lot of horror ones in
Actually, half
these.
those are actually pretty good.
Yeah, and that surprised me too because most legacy movies I think are bad. Oh, you're just rehashing all the
Yeah,
old
yeah.
stuff, but I think it only really counts if it's not a larger franchise. So the Matrix, I'm not going to count that because we had sequels to that.
Sure.
Mad Max, we had sequels to that. But Top Gun, there was only one of these. 30 years later, you make a sequel to it.
Hmm.
So that would leave us with like Blade Runner, Tron Legacy, Creed, Train Spotting, Return to Oz.
Well, Creed's part of
Oh,
the.
oh, wait, no, I didn't mean Creed. No, no, no. Creed had
Yeah,
sequels. Yeah,
yeah. I
Rocky
got
had
that.
sequels, so that doesn't count. I'm
It's a
sorry.
new character.
So yeah, Blade Runner, Tron Legacy, Doctor Sleep, Return to Oz, Train Spotting, which I never saw the sequel to Train Spotting.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not nearly as
yeah,
good as the first one, but it surprised me. I enjoyed the sequel.
and
I don't remember what happens in it, but it was.
I think Return to Oz still holds the record of like biggest gap in between a part one and two,
Hmm.
as far as I know. But those are all really good.
Yeah.
I like Blade Runner better than the original. Tron Legacy better than the original. Doctor Sleep. I know it's probably controversial. I'm not a big Shining fan. I think it's better than the original. It's a more interesting story. Return to Oz. Return to Oz is great. So much better than Wizard of Oz. Uh, so I was just surprised that Top Gun Maverick. I thought this was one of my who gives a shit movies. Who asked for this? But hey, what do I know? You get the guy who made Tron Legacy, and he's able now. He has two Legacy films under his belt.
Yeah. I mean, well, he's the guy. Yes, he's the guy who made Tron Legacy, but he's also the guy who directed Tom Cruise in Oblivion.
Oblivion,
Yeah. So
another
that's
great film.
yeah. Tom Cruise likes working with the same people, and
Mhm.
it
When he sees talent,
yeah.
keep him around.
Um. So, what did you think about Top Gun Maverick?
This is a pretty good movie. It's much better structured than the first one, even if it is kind of doing a lot of the same things. We
Yeah.
have, there's a teacher teaching the next generation of the best. There's conflicts between them all, and then you have some excellent dogfight scenes. You get kind of a wishy-washy love story that really isn't super necessary,
Mhm.
and then you get the major conflict. Now, in the first one, that's exactly how it was. Like, all right, we graduated, we're the best, cool, and now we got to go to war, and then they go do a thing real
Yeah.
quick. Where this, the training isn't just we're training the next generation just to up their skills. We actually have a mission, so
Yeah.
we learn
They're
them both.
already basically trained. We're just training them for this specific
This is
task that's
yeah,
hard.
and so we have multiple steps that only the best could possibly do. There's like two things that it would have to be a miracle in order for it to work, and that really helps with the structure of
Hmm.
we know what the major thing is, we know what that final end piece is going to be, and all the steps that are laid are relatively simple and easy to follow. And I think overall, it's a better movie.
I would agree. Uh, I think this movie is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I fucking love this movie. I didn't think I was. I went into it with very limited expectations. I had heard it was good through word of mouth, but I just assumed that was just
Hype
old,
train.
not necessarily hype train, but just old people who like Tom Cruise
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, I remember Top Gun. I saw it when I was a teenager, and now I'm 50 or whatever. And yeah, this movie it's better than the original. The flight sequences are incredible.
Insane.
It's like and they're all done. At least most of it is done
Practically.
practically in
Yeah.
camera, and just like, and I mean, a lot of the shots you see are just in the cockpit, so you're just looking at
Hmm.
their faces, but just the way that they're like twisting and turning
Yeah.
as the plane moves, and just it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen on camera,
And
and
it's something that could easily be faked. No
yeah,
problem. We've seen it a million times before, but when you see them slide around and like hit the window and kind of come up out of their seat a bit, it's way more believable of like, no, these people are really getting thrown around by these G's.
yeah. And which I want to know I mean I know I think the budget for this movie was like 170 million I think I saw or something like that.
That's not expensive at all
I mean
for
it's expensive, but it's just I want how much they spent on gas for these fucking planes, because if I mean in the context of the film, these planes are in the air for 5 minutes
hmm
uh, to do the training, and then they're parked again. But filmmaking takes days, and like the amount of gas they burned on these
yeah.
jets must have been astronomical,
Uh-huh.
like millions of dollars
Uh-huh.
or 500,000, whatever it was, just a crazy amount of money just to put these fucking things in the air.
Yeah.
But thank God they did it because it looks incredible.
Yeah, I never gave a shit about planes and pilots. But when you see this and the maneuvers they do, not just like, his special move in the first one was just hit the brakes and then he
Hmm.
flies back.
Yeah, yeah.
And but now there's like they're hitting the brakes and doing like sideways cartwheels through the air. And it's just so impressive to be able to manipulate something through the air and not make it break apart instantly. Like I was saying earlier, I fly a kite and you turn it a little too much and it instantly
Hmm.
plummets. Sure, these have like rocket boosters and actual control. It's just so impressive that you're able to do these things on the fly and then not die instantly.
Yeah, and I mean they even do a move that he did in the first one where he kind of flips upside down
Yeah.
on like where he's above and he's like looking into the cockpit of the guy
Hmm.
below him from while he's upside down. And you just see something like that. It's like, and then they're both like, "All right, you ready? Yep, I'm ready." And they just turn at the same time. It's like, how do you guys not
Yeah.
hit each other?
Yeah. When
It's
you
like I
watch,
know it's just high training and everything, but
sure.
like watching it, it's just like how
But when you look at
what
air shows and they're touching tips of their wings together
yeah,
and they're flying so close and so
crazy.
low. Yeah. And then not only do they spin out from being upside down from each other, they do like a corkscrew down to the earth.
Hmm.
It's like you really did that, as far as I know. It's nuts. I truly thought that corkscrew move was going to come back in the end.
Yeah,
They blow it open. The second one missed. Oh, now I got to go up high and I got to do this corkscrew down into the mountain and sacrifice myself. Something.
yeah. Or yeah, because I feel like that would be like that's the visual appealing shot. Is we
Hmm.
do this is how the two characters and two different jets team up. This is
Yeah.
we're doing the serpentine move, and it's like, oh, it's too dangerous, kid. It's the
Yeah.
what is the flying lotus or whatever from Blades of
Oh
Glory.
yeah, yeah.
Just it's a move that's too dangerous, but I'm glad it's like there's probably some, but yeah, they would have been shot down because you would have to do that from a high altitude. It's like no,
Yeah.
we need to come in at 100 feet
Hmm.
because if we go to 300 feet, we're getting shot
But
down.
that would be the thing. Like you go up, you train all the missiles up, they shoot, you do the corkscrew down, and you both release your flares as they go, and it confuses the missiles. They can make up on.
That would have been a real
That would have been
shot.
really cool.
That
But
would have
then,
been a
how do
shot.
you fly out of a crater when you're going nosedive in it?
Yeah, you're not gonna.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyway, let's Ben, why don't you tell me what this movie's about?
Right.
I mean, we kind of already did.
So Pete Mitchell, aka Maverick, he has not really moved through the ranks at all. He's just kind of stayed where he is because he's a badass and he's the best of the best, and he ain't gonna listen to you because you don't know what you're talking about. And really, he just wants to fly. He doesn't want to move up. He doesn't want to teach. He doesn't want to do anything else because he's perfect in the cockpit. So he gets sent to teach a bunch of, next generation of the best because there is a weapon silo being built. It's an impossible feat to destroy it, and he has 3 weeks to train them in these very specific things in order to win. And maybe finds love along the way and reconciles with ghosts of his past.
Right. So let's talk about the opening scene of this movie.
Okay.
Because what I liked about this scene is this feels like the scene that you would put at the end of the movie. Like they're building to this route because like if we need to get this thing to do this thing in order to save the program, but this is how you open the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, Tom Cruise gets in the X Jet, and they're supposed to test it to get to. We need to get it to
Well,
9 Gs
yeah.
today, and his partner who hangs out with him for the rest of the movie is just like, well, they're shutting the program down. We're not allowed to fly because they wanted us to hit 10 Gs by today. And it's like, well, 10 Gs is next month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, fuck it. If the program's scrapped anyway, let's just see what we can do with it anyway. And maybe we can, get save our asses because either way,
Yeah.
we're all out of a job
Might as well
tomorrow.
give it a
Might
try.
as well give it a try. Um, so the goal is now to get it into Mach 10, and they haven't tested it past. They haven't even tested it to 9.
Yeah.
Ben, how fast do you think Mach 10 is? Because I know the answer to this.
At least 4 cheetahs fast.
What's your real answer?
I isn't Mach 2 faster than sound?
I
I
I,
have no idea.
I did not look that.
Ooh, oh, that's gonna make me sound really stupid.
I want to say Mach 2 or 3 is the sound
Mach
barrier.
10 is 900 miles an hour.
So I googled Mach 10 speed. Mach 10 apparently is 7,672 miles per hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's like 4 Americas.
Yeah. Tom Cruise might have circled the Earth.
That's crazy fast.
Allegedly. So the other thing I looked up was G-force and how much humans can take. I don't know if Mach 10 equals 10 G's of force or whatever it
I
was.
have no idea. I doubt it.
I don't think it was. It didn't really say.
Hmm.
But G1 is essentially Earth's gravity.
Mm,
So that's
too much, too heavy.
and I think Mach like 4 or 5 is the free fall of a roller coaster.
Okay.
Human beings apparently can't withstand Mach or yeah can't withstand 9 Gs of like that's where your chest is caving in at nine
Okay.
Gs. So it's like 9 Gs is the limit human beings can take.
Okay.
So if you're going beyond 9 Gs, you're like on the brink of death and like seconds after nine. You can
Uh-huh.
only hold it 9 Gs for like less than 30 seconds.
Okay.
Otherwise, you pass out and fucking die.
Yeah.
But these people are training to do 9 Gs of force in this movie, which is insane.
There's a good scene in The First Man where they're training about G-force and trying to keep yourself awake from the
Mhm.
blast off, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think you would like that scene.
Yeah, I've always seen that. What's it called, like the gyroscope thing or whatever,
Sure.
where you sit in the little seat and you just spin around and
Your
fast. And
face gets all
yeah,
weird. Yeah.
I've always wanted to. I mean, I hate the feeling of being dizzy, but
Yeah.
I've always wanted to just know what that feels
Uh-huh.
like. Have you ever done the Mission Space at Disney World?
I
At
haven't been to Disney World since I was in the fourth grade.
oh,
So,
you,
yeah.
you should go back. So at Disney Epcot, they have a ride. I believe it's called Mission Space, where you get in a shuttle and you blast off to Mars, and there's 4 people in the seat, and there's the captain, the pilot, the engineer, and the comms guy or something, and then you have to like press buttons during the mission. They essentially do nothing.
Yeah.
It's all just part of the ride, and there's 4 joysticks. It's like why would there be 4 joysticks? Like
Pilot, no, I'm the pilot.
yeah, but as you're in the ride, it's like all right, engineer, hit the button now. But like what's cool about it is it actually generates G4. So like there was a part where I had to push a button and I was like it was kind of hard for me to like lift my arm
Wow.
because there was an intense version that I guess like killed some people or like no one dies at Disney World, but there was medical issues, so
Okay.
they have a full version and like a toned down version, and
Okay.
I always go for the full version. I want to feel that like I almost and I have to hit that button at the last second.
That's
But
great.
you should, if you ever go to Disney World, check that right out because it's pretty cool.
Because I've always done like the gravitrons and stuff,
Mhm.
and I try to get up as high as I can, stand up. I enjoy that a lot. So I would love to feel all them G's, and by G's I mean gangsters.
So yeah, I think this opening scene was a lot of fun and a great way to start a movie and just sort of reiterate Tom Cruise as, yeah, this guy's the fucking shit.
Yeah,
There's a reason he's the best.
he is just so
But
impressive.
this scene is, it looked mostly CGI. I mean,
Presumably,
yeah, I don't think,
there's no way they would put him
no, no, no.
in an experimental
Yeah,
ship.
I think this is the only sequence in the movie that was sort of done
Yeah,
not practically.
missiles and gunfire, I'm sure, was all CG
Yeah, sure, of
explosions.
course.
But when it came to airplane stuff, he was very much we need to do this
Right.
practically. But you're like, well, we're not going to strap you to an actual spaceship and film it in real time. So fuck off, Mr.
It
Cruz.
just makes me wonder, does this ship exist, or maybe not this ship, but are there ships out there that travel 7,000 miles an hour?
Whatever we think they probably have something better.
Yeah.
So they're already at
They're showing us,
13 Gs.
yeah, they're showing us the stuff that this ship was already made 30 years ago.
Oh yeah, they're going to Mars like no problem. Yeah, so he because he takes it to 10, and then of course he has to take it to 10.1, and then it breaks up and you think he's dead, but no, he parachutes out and lands in some random ass town.
Yeah, that would have been the real wild part if Tom Cruise died in the first 10 minutes of this
Oh
movie and it
yeah.
had nothing. It was
Nothing to
just,
do with it,
yeah, it
yeah.
was. What was that thing recently where? Never mind. I'm trying to think of. There was a thing where it's just like, oh, I guess it's like The Last of Us 2. It's like, oh, you get to see your two favorite characters. Oh, the main character died.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah, it'd
first
be really weird for them to call it Top Gun Maverick and then kill Maverick.
one.
Yeah, so then he has to go teach, and you have your Iceman replacement with Hangman. You have your Goose, well, your Maverick replacement with Goose's son, Rooster.
But see, I would think that Hangman is actually Maverick, and that's why he's kind of like Maverick's not having it with this guy because like I used to be this kid. Because Hangman's kind of the one who's the I'm the best. Because Iceman, yeah, but he was always about the team. He's like, you don't leave your wingman
Sure.
hanging. He was calling
Yeah.
Tom Cruise out. He's like, you're not. He's like, you're a problem. You're not part of this
Yeah.
team. Where like Rooster, he was more about the team,
Sure.
and he was always
Yeah.
and he had some like self confidence issues, mainly because like Maverick was there and that whole thing.
Mhm.
But I would think that Hangman was the Maverick type. He's just like, you're gonna get these people killed.
Yeah.
I know that, so I'm gonna not put you on this mission because I was you.
Yeah. Makes sense character wise. I just when you look at the for story, the person we're rooting for
Sure.
is Goose's son, so he's the Maverick. Yeah, but yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Uh,
And I like that they did that. It wasn't just like Tom Cruise training himself. It
yeah,
was no, I'm training you to not be
yeah.
me.
And Tom Cruise held Goose's son Bradley
Bradley Bradshaw.
Bradley Bradshaw. For the parents out there, I know some people that get remarried. So, oh, you named your kid Chris, and then you ended up marrying someone with the last name
Christopherson.
Christopherson. Yeah, and that's how Chris Christopherson was made. Um, but yeah, when you're Brad Bradshaw, like Ben Benson, Steve Stevenson, like awful, terrible. Parents don't do that. He held him back from the Naval Academy because he thought he wasn't ready. He was trying, but it was actually his mom saying, "Please don't let him follow in his dad's footsteps." But it didn't deter him. He wanted to fly planes, grow a crappy little mustache, and play Great Balls of Fire in a restaurant very loudly to annoy everyone. Because in that first one, when they're doing it, there are people like 2 feet away trying to eat their food, and they're just screaming Great Balls of Fire. I know it's a fun little moment in the movie, but if I was those
Well, at
people, I'd
least
be
in
very
this
upset.
version, everyone wanted to sing.
Yeah, they were in a
They
bar,
were in a
and
bar,
yeah,
yeah. But the first one was just like, hey man, like I'm out at Burger here. Like
yeah,
my wife is telling me she wants a divorce, and you're over here playing Great Balls of Fire.
yeah.
I'm not having it right
Please
now, man.
shut up.
Yeah.
So he holds a grudge with Maverick because why wouldn't he?
Mhm.
And he blames him for getting his dad killed, even though you know He didn't do anything.
Yeah, it was.
He was cleared of all any sort of charges or
Yeah,
wrongdoing. So yeah, then we just like get in our teams, and he starts like teaching them, and we get like the same parallel scene of Tom Cruise hit on Kelly McGillis's character with you lost that loving feeling, and then she shows up as their instructor, and they're all like, "Oh, geez, what did we do last night? That's embarrassing." Well, they had to throw out Tom Cruise because he couldn't pay a ridiculous bar tab because of a stupid rule.
yeah, I would have been furious.
Like,
It's like, okay, I understand, like, if you
talk bad about the Navy
or
or hit on the
if you,
bartender,
well, I don't think it said hit on the bartender, if you harass
harass
a woman or harass a lady
harass the barmaid. I think it
or
said
whatever.
whatever.
But it's like, okay, that rule I can get behind.
Yeah,
But it's like leaving your phone at the table and it's like, oh, I didn't see the sign and now I have
yeah.
to
Pay
pay.
around for everyone.
Yeah,
Fuck
it's like
you.
$500 check. There's
Yeah.
so many people in here.
Oh, well, if these millennials wouldn't stop playing, shut up. What kind of boomer bar is this? It's ridiculous. But they throw him out. So then when he shows up as their teacher, they're all doing the same thing. Like, oh, geez, I just threw out my teacher. This is going to come out and bite me in the ass. No, it doesn't ever come up again.
I mean, I guess the only thing that really comes up, well, no, it's because the kids initiated it. Not the kids; they're all like 30 years old. Uh, but I was gonna say the push-up challenge, but it was like they were the ones who
Yeah,
initiated it.
yeah,
It's like,
they did that. That wasn't him.
yeah, that wasn't him. Like he wasn't a dickhead teacher.
No, he was good.
Yeah.
He just told him probably he wasn't the most like optimistic about things,
Hmm.
but yeah, he was a good teacher. And then we just get a bunch of
Well,
montages
essentially
and
an hour of training
an hour of
sequences, a little
training.
bit of character
Yeah,
work.
so pretty much there's a bunker in a volcano looking sort of mountain. They have to fly as low to the ground as possible, then come up the side of the mountain, invert, go straight down, blow open a hole, then shoot a missile into the shaft, Death Star style, and then fly up with so many G's that it will kill you, just to avoid
At
the
least make it
missiles.
pass out.
Oh, yeah, and then get past
And
the
then
land to air missiles.
yeah, and then avoid the jets that are on their way to defend the thing that you just shot.
Exactly.
Uh,
And no one can really do it. They're not fast enough, or they're flying out of the zone, so they would get targeted. And yeah, we just get that for a while.
yeah,
And
I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's so little story in this
yeah,
movie where a good chunk of the movie is just training sequence after training
yeah,
sequence.
I think
And
that's why we get so much of the love story, because it's like
yeah,
you need a little bit of a break. And
yeah,
he was such a ladies' man in the first one. He's got to get his dick wet in this one, and why not make it Jennifer Connelly?
yeah. Who looks great.
Yeah, and they're both 80 icons,
Yeah,
which I don't know if they've ever been in anything before,
I
but
don't
that seems like
think so.
what a pairing. Why weren't they ever paired up in anything before? They're both
Um,
beautiful people who would make beautiful babies.
uh, but yeah, that's the weird thing. It's just like you're watching. You're not only watching training sequence after training sequences. You're watching the same training sequence. Like they're
Yeah.
doing the same run over and over and over
Hmm.
again. But the camera work and the like intensity of all these scenes just make it so engaging that it's like I don't care that I'm watching them do the same sort of
Yeah.
maneuvers over and over again. It's just like so engrossing to watch. And I mean, yeah, it gets broken up because Tom Cruise is now like hunting them, kind of
Hmm.
just like if I get missile lock on you, then you die, and
Hmm.
we have to start over or whatever. But that I feel like in other directors' hands that could have been real boring and just it would have been really slowed the movie down. But I loved every scene of the flight work. And then in terms of the Tom Cruise love storyline, yeah, you need to give Maverick something else to do, and so of course he's going on a date. And there was a bunch of like Tom Cruise walking in some places like Jenny, and it's like I was like, am I supposed to know who this character is?
Yeah.
It's like I know Jennifer Connelly was put in this movie because Terry McGillis,
Kelly McGillis.
Kelly McGillis. What is it? Sorry,
Kelly McGillis.
Kelly McGill. Kelly McGillis isn't in this. So it's
Yeah.
like, so it's just like, oh, just someone from his past. But
Yeah. It's been 30 years. He wouldn't have
yeah,
been hung up on this one person
but
forever.
like even later in the movie, there's an old man who walks out the back and it's like, Gary? And he's just like taking beers to the bar. It's like, wait, was he in the first one? Like it was just Tom
Yeah,
Cruise was running into all these people from his past, and it was like, I think they're just made up for this movie.
I think
And
so.
it was really kind of confusing me because I was like, I just saw this movie. Like, was he like a younger man, and that's why I don't recognize him? Because
Hmm.
whatever. Because I mean, the whole movie's about reconciling with your past.
Hmm.
You have to let go and all that stuff. Uh, so
And so Tom Cruise gets like fired Because what does he get fired again?
So, well, he was originally going to be fired from the military by Ed Harris, who was in this movie for some reason,
Yeah.
money or a favor to. He
You
did.
need a grizzled face. He's a perfect military
I
man.
don't know why he was in this movie. I mean, nothing against Ed Harris. It's just it didn't seem like you could have cast any
Yeah.
tough-looking military type to do that.
But
Like
why
he
not?
was been set for a day.
Oh, for sure.
Um, but yeah, he was going to get canned, and then because Val Kilmer's Iceman is
Mm.
now the head of air traffic control or whatever his role is. He's been looking out for Mav over the past 30 years, and every
Mm.
time Mav gets in trouble, Iceman kind of bails him out.
Yeah.
You know,
And this is his punishment is like you're either going to wash out or you're going to teach this class.
right?
But then he does something and they take him off the class and
Well,
John Hamm takes over.
right. Well, it's because Val Kilmer or Iceman dies. It's like Iceman was your protection. I don't. I think.
Yeah, but didn't he do something? It's just like you did something. Now you don't have Iceman's protection.
Yeah. Well, they weren't supposed to
Oh,
go below 5,000 feet or something like
yeah.
that. And he's like,
Was it called Hard Rock?
hard deck.
Hard deck.
Yeah.
That means
Because
ground.
that's the name of the bar as well, the
Yes.
hard deck. Yeah, so they weren't supposed to go below 5,000, which is something they did in the first movie as well. It's
Mhm.
like you went below the line, the line's there for safety. It's like, yeah, well, they need to be so low that
Yeah,
they're
they're
on radar.
100 meters.
We're training them in areas that they're like there's nothing good. They're not going to learn anything
Yeah.
by doing that. It's like I need you to lower it, which they did, but he didn't get fired for that. He got in trouble for that, and that's why John Hamm doesn't particularly like him. I mean, he
Mhm.
doesn't like him for other reasons.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until Iceman dies
Mhm.
that he takes him off.
Let's talk about Iceman for a second. So, Val Kilmer has had throat cancer for a bit. It has dramatically changed the way he looks, and I was very worried because I had a feeling he was already dead in this from the commercials. Like you only see the
Yeah.
picture of him, you see that there is a funeral scene. I just assumed he was already dead, but he is still alive. He's dealing with throat cancer. His character, it's nice that they
Yeah,
worked it in
yeah.
and they didn't just go like, oh, he's just old now and this is how he looks. And they even say it's hard for him to talk, so he talks through the computer. He only has one line, but
Hmm.
it I was worried it would make Val Kilmer look bad because he shows up in Jay and Silent Bob reboot dressed as Batman. And if they didn't pause the movie and pop up with text saying, look, it's Val Kilmer, he was Batman, I would have had no idea it
Hmm.
was him. It looked like, Val Kilmer with a shellfish allergy or something. He was just his face was so different looking. And so I was very scared that it would be kind
Yeah.
of embarrassing. But
Especially like Val Kilmer in Top Gun. He's fucking handsome as shit.
I mean, he is Val Kilmer.
Yeah,
He's
he's a good looking
he's a
man.
good look. I mean, I think like probably Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is like his last hurrah of being a good looking dude. I think after
Okay.
that,
I love
he
Kiss Kiss Bang
I
Bang, by
do
the way.
mine too.
Watch Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, everybody.
Yeah, Top Secret, everything that Val Kilmer's in. Handsome dude. Willow, my God, Matt Morgan.
Why wasn't he Maverick?
Because he does look like a prick. I mean, so does Tom Cruise, but he looks a little, since he's shorter,
Yeah, and Tom
he's like
Cruise
a
is
nice
actually
boy.
willing to fly the planes.
Yes. So yeah, we get to see him and they have a nice little moment and then he eventually passes. And I'm glad it was respectful.
It was a, nice homage to him and his character
Yeah.
and
Because
just him as an actor. I feel like if this was his last movie, it would have been a lovely send off.
I think he's kind of has written off acting for a while now because of this. I know there's a documentary called Val
Hmm.
about him that
Yeah,
I
he
hear
was
is,
great.
yeah, amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Uh, so he came back because he does like this movie. He does. It was a big uh,
Hmm.
stepping stone for him. Why not come back? And if it doesn't embarrass him, why not? And I'm glad they were able to do it.
Yeah, it'd just be interesting if he was, still as if he had the Tom Cruise effect where he still looks moderately young and
Mhm.
is in shape or whatever. It's like, would there have been a scene where Tom Cruise is about to die because a enemy ship has got him on missile lock, and then that enemy blows up. Who is it? And it's like, hey, you. your wingman's here, and then Iceman's like in the plane because like he just has the ability to
Yeah.
do that kind of role. Like, would that have been a scene?
Ugh.
Like, would they have brought in Iceman to save the day instead of Tom Cruise?
Yeah, if he wasn't sick, I can see him just being like his friend, the heavier set black guy in it.
Hmm.
He would have just probably played that role. He's in administrative stuff now. He would be there, and so when the mission is happening, they'd just be like, "What do we do? I don't know, Iceman. What should we do?" Iceman, and then you see him run into the plane or whatever. It would be a really cliche, dumb thing that
Sure.
would never happen. But I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah. That scene worked for me. I thought it was nice, and Tom Cruise really brought his acting. It was his. I think it was like the only real acting, and not real acting, but you get what I'm trying to say. Whereas like he had to like shed tears and actually try and like.
Tom Cruise is pretty intense in most things. He always, if even if he's not crying, you can feel the pain on his face.
No, I that's not Tom Cruise is a bad actor.
Yeah,
It's just like the whole movie is just him. Mostly half the movie is him with a mask on when
yeah.
he's flying planes, and so half the movie you don't really get to see him act too much,
Hmm.
even though he's talking the whole time. And then the Jennifer Connelly stuff in him is just kind of like the weakest stuff in the
Yeah.
movie, even though it's not bad. It's just a love story to add something else to the
It's just to
movie.
lower your heart rate
Yeah,
because that last action scene was,
yeah.
making old ladies die in the theater.
uh, but anyway, yeah. So it was just nice that they gave him a little meat, and this was like the emotional scene of the movie.
Yeah.
So it worked.
I am happy to see that he toned down who Maverick is because, like I said, I think Maverick is an absolute psycho in that first one. He
Mm.
just gives off really scary vibes. And after 30 years, yeah, you would probably calm down. You'd age a bit. So I'm glad they did that. But then now that they did, all of the acting feels very Mission Impossible
Mhm.
or any of his roles in the last 10 years feels very Tom Cruisey. I almost kind of wish he didn't learn anything and he still was a weird psychopath and have this modern day Tom Cruise trying to match that intensity of 1986 Tom Cruise. I think that would have been really interesting, but that character would not have played
It
well
just
now.
yeah, I just didn't want to see that character be the 30, 40-year-old man who's still wearing his high school Letterman jacket and like
Yeah.
hanging out in the parking lot. Like, oh, I used to be the king of this school. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to see that kind of character.
No, no,
So,
true. But I just want to see Tom Cruise, like maybe hang up his action role hat once he's done with his Mission Impossibles. You've got it out of your system. You're in your 60s. Let's
mhm.
take some smaller roles where you don't have to be as intense. And I want to see him play something besides Action Man. And even though this is just it's still in that same vein. Yeah, he's not shooting a gun, he's not leaping from anything, he is just sitting in an airplane, but it still is an action movie. So
Mm.
I'd like to see him play a father, give him a daddy's daycare, some dumb shit like that, the Tooth Fairy, or I just want to see him in something different, or maybe like put him in a horror movie. I don't know. I'd like to see a Tom Cruise that isn't so intense.
Yeah, I mean, they say the age of the movie star is essentially over, and there's really,
It's
not many people. You don't just throw their name up there and it brings people in. Like, I guess The Rock is the
sure.
the last new one,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, but Brad Pitt and like, I don't know the last time George Clooney was in a movie. Brad Pitt, I don't think really brings people in anymore. It's like
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is kind of like
Yeah.
the only like he's the last remaining movie star. I feel like.
And especially since so many people know kind of how he is and
Hmm.
what sort of organizations he belongs to, and a lot of people do not like him, they still go see his movies.
Yeah, because he doesn't, with the exception of The Mummy, which but it's like you can trust that if it's a action movie, Tom Cruise is gonna bring some good shit to it. At least with his franchises.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Can you think of like a movie star for an actress? Like who is still, even after all these years, is still a movie star? Is it your Meryl Streeps? Or is it younger? Or is it the too young you get that, they're,
well like I would put Meryl Streep. She's the go-to like greatest actress of all time.
what is she,
But
movie
I would
star?
put her with Daniel Day Lewis. Like I wouldn't call Daniel Day Lewis a movie star. I would
Yeah,
just call them the greatest actors of.
sure.
It's like
Okay.
they're the best of the best, but they're not someone you don't go see Daniel Day Lewis
Hmm.
movies unless you just really like Daniel Day Lewis.
So who's a woman that brings in people just on name alone?
I I think probably the biggest actress in the like there was a period where it could have been Jennifer Lawrence, but
Mm-hmm.
did she hasn't really done a lot to she did a bunch of big franchises. She was the it girl, and then she did smaller roles and just now she's kind of faded away a little bit. And like Scarlett Johansson, I think is like in the conversation, but that's only because she's doing all these Marvel movies. It's not because
Yeah,
her variety of work is so big, because it's just a
and
lot
she's
of like
still. I
indie
think
films and then Marvel.
I think you need like 7 years older.
Yeah.
I
I
think she's a little young. I think she's out of that movie star thing. That
Tom
time
Cruise is
period.
still a movie star and he's in his 60s.
I
I'm saying like
she's too young. I think you need to go older because what a movie star is doesn't apply anymore. So that is like a 20-year
oh,
old thing. So it's like who's in the hot shit 20 years ago that is still in the hot shit now.
I'm just thinking of like actresses who seem to consistently make at least decent stuff. Not so, and like, not necessarily just like you drop their name and like, oh, I have to see the new Margot Robbie movie. But it's
Hmm.
like Margot Robbie hasn't really made a bad movie that I can think of, at least off the top of my head. So it's like I can trust that Margot Robbie is someone that's like, oh, I know she's a great actress
Yeah.
and she's nice to look at and she makes decent movies or good movies, but I don't think she's hit the Margot Robbie hasn't hit the status of like, oh, the new Margot Robbie movie's out. Gotta see that.
Yeah.
It's
I in the past, I bet like Ashley Judd was close. Like she
Mhm.
was big deal. Nicole Kidman when she was with Tom Cruise, like they were the two big movie star power
I mean, can you
couple.
name like
I can. I know you can. We did this like 2 weeks ago with Nicole Kidman
no, I know
movies.
you can name the movies, but can you like name their characters though?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
But
So I would say if we have anybody, I'd say Sandra Bullock, because I think people they like her shtick
yeah.
and they see it regardless. But if you want to talk about like someone who brings in money because of their name, it would be Melissa McCarthy.
I feel like in the past few years she's
And everybody goes like, "Oh, her movies always tank." Every blah blah blah. Her movies make a ton of money.
yeah, movies make
They're
good.
not good a lot of the time, but name alone, she gets people in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's I guess how you just want to define movie star. I I don't know if Melissa McCarthy quite hits that. I'm not sure if I agree
She's
with it.
also not a sex symbol, and that is usually a big thing with movie stars.
Sure, yeah, but that's not even what I'm talking about. But who was the person you mentioned before?
Sandra
Oh,
Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. Yeah, it's like, but I mean, Sandra Bullock. I recently what did Bird Box and
Mhm.
The Lost City. It's like I don't think The Lost City made. It's
Sure.
like I think Charlize Theron tried,
Yeah.
because she had her big action resurgence with like Mad Max and which
Mhm.
one of my favorite movies and
I think
like Atomic Blonde and The Old Guard, but like
if your
those didn't really hit off.
if her career started 5 to 7 years earlier, I think she would have been movie star material.
Yeah,
I think she's probably way up there, and maybe our best pick. But I don't know. There's something that's telling me it's like our ill-defined term of what a movie
yeah.
star
I mean, at the
is.
end of the day, it's like, do you know their name? Then they're a fucking movie star. It's
Yeah.
like I've never seen. I mean, I don't think I've seen an Audrey Hepburn movie or a Marilyn Monroe movie or whatever.
Sure.
It's like
But you know,
but they're. I mean, they're movie star
yeah,
icons. They were the biggest people of their time. But it's like I don't know if their movies were any good. Like I know,
that's true. But now it's like celebrity culture is so different. We know these people's names without knowing anything that they do, what they're in, but you know who they are because of other means.
right. Anyway, to the
Anywho,
movie.
let's see.
Miles Teller as Rooster.
Okay.
Fantastic casting for the
Yeah.
son of Goose. Looks
Spot
just like
on.
him. Gave him the mustache.
Mhm.
Well, my whole I at the beginning of the movie, it looked like they didn't dye his hair, so I was
Mhm.
just like, well, they just showed a flashback sequence where the kid has blonde hair. Both the parents have blonde hair. Why did they have a
Yeah.
dark haired kid? That's stupid.
Yeah.
But then there was like sun in the shot. I was like, okay, they did dye his
Yeah.
hair for this movie.
It
So
does happen. You could have blonde parents in
sure,
it,
but
and it gets darker as you get older.
it's one of those movie things where it's like, of course that doesn't matter.
It
It's
doesn't.
like
Yeah.
it's the little details.
But it's something you
It's
notice.
something I noticed,
Yeah.
but I'm so the fact that they gave him blonde hair, I was like, okay, good. But yeah, I liked Miles Teller in this movie.
Yeah.
He's a good act. I mean, once again, kind of one note character. It's not like
Hmm.
this isn't the actor's movie, but
No, no.
I liked him in this role.
It's weird that like seeing him with that mustache and the haircut, it made me go, Okay, I could see him as Mr. Fantastic now. In Fan Four Stick, he's an awful casting, but now I can kind of see it. But yeah, I like it. I just wish. Okay, you have your hot shot blonde named Iceman. Okay, now here's your hot shot blonde named Hangman, and here's your pilot who has a mustache and he's named after a bird, and then his son is a pilot with a mustache named after a bird. Dumb. I don't know what I have to say there. Not super creative.
Yeah,
But why Rooster? He's the first one up in the morning, man. We're still getting out of bed, and Rooster's up. Okay, cool. That's fine. But they never explained like anybody's name except for Hangman.
yeah.
I think that's it. Oh, and Bob is just Bob.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think any of the call signs were just described like you said, except for Hank. I want to say they said something about Rooster, but I don't remember what it was. It was so quick or like kind of background noise. I
Yeah,
just didn't register to me what the reasoning was for that. Um, because I thought like, oh, because he doesn't go fast, maybe he's a chicken, so they call him Rooster.
sure.
But that wasn't really
That
brought
wasn't
up
it
because I mean
either.
he's one of the best of the best. So
Yeah,
like, what's chicken about him? It's just he doesn't push the limits because he wants to be safe
be
while
safe. Yeah.
accomplishing the mission.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, his dad was Goose and now he's the Gosling. So they would call him, Gosling or Baby Duck or
I would be
something.
called Gosling
No, neither would I.
unless my first name was
Well, since we're talking about call signs, how many call signs from the first movie can you name?
let's see, Maverick, Iceman, Goose, Juggernaut, Wolverine.
Magneto. I mean, some of these do sound.
No, I don't think I could tell you. I honestly don't remember.
So there was a Ghost Rider, there's Merlin,
Oh yeah,
Cougar,
Merlin.
Viper, Jester,
Oh, Jester,
Charlie,
yeah.
Wolfman, Slider, Sundown, and Hollywood.
I don't remember any of those, but Merlin and what was the
Cougar, Viper, Jester.
Jester? Yeah,
Yeah.
because Jester was the one chasing them,
Hmm.
and Merlin was Maverick's co-pilot, I believe.
Uh,
At least at the end.
yeah, Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins, yeah.
Yeah. Which who
Tim Robbins.
knew?
Who knew?
Who knew?
Uh,
All right, yeah.
but yeah, I forgot all those names.
So we were talking. We saw this together today, and we were talking about call signs, and I totally forgot what we gave ourselves.
In the universe of if we were in this movie and we wanted to be badasses on the
Yeah.
crew, what cool names could we give ourselves? Now, my name is Steve, as you all know, listening, and if we've ever talked about it on the
We've
podcast,
ever talked about.
so we like to play a fun game where anytime you watch a movie or TV show or commercial, whenever they need a throwaway name, it's always Steve.
Always.
Like every husband in a commercial is named Steve. They're
Yeah.
like, Steve, you didn't take out the laundry?
Yeah.
Charmin or
Uh-huh.
whatever. I don't know how those work.
What do these have to do with each other? Buy it and find
Yeah.
out.
But Steve is always the
Always.
name.
There was a time we were sitting and I flipped through the channel and I went to four channels and it was like Steve, Steve, Steven, Steve. And it was like, what? I just like randomly, what are the odds of that? But yeah, it's always
Yeah.
Steve.
It's always Steve. So
And now that you know that, you will hear it.
yeah.
I've explained this to people and they're like, that's not a thing. You're dumb. It's like, okay, now you'll pay attention. And then they come back like,
You're never really
oh,
on the lookout for it because like why would
why
you
would
be?
you?
But
Yeah.
because my name's Steve, whenever you hear your own name, it's
Mhm.
always it kind of wakes you up.
Yeah.
So and it's just one of those things where like I heard enough, I was like, man, like my name is in a lot of stuff. And then I pointed out to you, and now it's like all we ever hear is like it.
I record commercials on my phone. I save memes. Whenever people need a name and a meme for just like, you win this round, Steve. It's always
Yeah.
Steve. It's not Gabriel or Thomas or anything. It's Steve.
Or there's a character who like has a funny name, like oh, or like my name's Goose. It's like, oh, what's up, Goose? Or whatever. And then you find out later, it's like, oh, your real name's Steve.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like
It's
the
the
joke. It's
boring
like, oh, yeah,
nothing of a name.
yeah, I don't like my name. It's like, yeah. Anyway, so because the Steve name is everywhere, I would be everyman,
Yes.
and I'd be the guy on the team who isn't necessarily the best pilot, but I know I can do everything
Hmm.
great, and
Yeah,
I work well with everybody. I just fit no matter what role if I can be. You want me to be the front guy, want me to be wingman, want me to be the guy who is on the comms or whatever you need. It's like he's the everyman. He's the guy who's like if a plane gets shot down, throw him in there. He'll be perfectly good.
yeah, yeah, and he really fights for going back, saving people because he may just be just one guy, but he's fighting the good fight for
Yeah,
every man.
everybody likes me. No one has a problem. Like
Yep,
I'm the perfect equalizer.
yep. Steve is every man.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of a good one for myself, but you came up with one.
My original one for you was deeds because in our personal life, you were very detail oriented
Hmm.
and you have opinions on everything and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But negating that one, we thought it'd be fun. If I was every man, you'd be no man.
Hmm.
And no man is,
Oh yeah, that's a No Man Left Behind,
yeah,
and
it was like no man left behind. Well, I said your character would know
well, I know the manual behind. I'm an encyclopedia of all the knowledge you would need to know.
yeah, so it'd be
Yeah,
KNOW
No
man.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And yeah, you'd be the knowledge guy. You'd be the guy who knew the book back and
I know the history of every
yeah.
plane and the battles they fought in.
You could break that plane down and put it back together again. You're just like the smartest guy on the team.
Yeah,
You're the no man.
right.
And we would be the team of every man and no man and
Yeah.
together we'd be men. I don't know. The boys. I don't know what our team
Yeah, I
name
don't
would
know what
be,
our team would
but
be.
I just like the idea of the two opposites, but they're not actually opposites, and
Yeah,
they're just together. We're not the best pilots, but or separately we're not the best pilots, but
but together
together we make one hell of a team.
we're a great
Yeah,
function.
whether you're in the cockpit with me or the side plane or whatever it is.
Whatever.
Yeah, so that's our pitch for Top Gun.
Our top. Yeah, what's your Top Gun name?
Top Gun 3, Top Gunnier, or Top Gun bottoms up.
Yep. I have really only two things I want to talk about.
All right, no man. What do you want to talk about?
I like that there's unspecified villains in
Uh-huh.
both these movies, and like I said before, you know, I projected my own racist thoughts onto the villains of original Top Gun. I swore, I mean, like it would have been like a Team America World Police sort of like Durka Durka Muhammad Jihad sort of
Yeah, yeah,
voice coming out of it. Not the case.
yeah.
That's just young, tiny
You
racist
saw the movie
thing.
this week. I don't. If you told me that none of the pilots ever spoke at all, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't.
I don't think they do.
Okay, cool.
But they never say where they're from. You don't see their face. They never speak a certain language. They never tell you country of origin and what war they're in, what conflict. It's just there is a conflict, and these are the people who handle this situation. And
Yeah,
they same thing for this one.
yeah. If there's any indicator, I think in the first Top Gun, it's just kind of like a red star or something like
Yeah,
that. It's just as like a symbol on because you have to give them something.
something.
And the fact that I think they were in like I know they were in a snowy area in this one. Were they in a
Hmm.
snowy area? Oh no, they were just all over
Yeah.
water, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, so it screamed Russia, but they
Hmm.
never said it
Yeah.
was Russia.
Yeah. This one seems a little more like it's Russia. You get the woods, you get snow, you
Hmm.
get mountains. They're not fighting in Colorado, so
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's Russian. But they never say. And we do see some of the guys like running on the runway, but never enough to see any
yeah,
sort of
it's so far
symbol.
away. Yeah,
Yeah. So I really like that because it's not about any sort of political ideology. It's just there's a thing that needs to be done, and this is what our job
hmm
is.
yeah. I was thinking about after watching the new one in the car. I was kind of thinking about like, okay, so Top Gun and Red Dawn came out in the same era,
Mm,
and one was very much like high school kids versus the Russians who are
hmm.
invading America, and how silly. I mean, I like the original Red Dawn; it's fun. I like the concept of like high schoolers taking on the government. Even
There's not enough product placement of Subway in the original that I really enjoy in the sequel.
yeah, I'm talking about the '80s version. Everybody, don't
Patrick Swayze.
the Chris Hemsworth Red Dawn. Chris Hemsworth was in that
I
movie.
know, it's crazy.
Anyway, but just thinking about how I think the original Red Dawn doesn't really hold up. Like you can watch that
No.
watch that movie and go like, oh, that's fun. but it's just a silly concept and just doesn't really work and isn't believable. It's like, but the original Top Gun does hold up
Yeah,
because it is nondescript,
yeah,
and
very vague.
even if it is Russia, but they don't say Russia, it works because
Yeah,
it doesn't say.
yeah.
Um, and so I think further down the line, this movie will still hold up because the stuff was done practically and it doesn't point out anyone in
Yeah.
particular. Um,
My other thing I want to talk about are drones. They talk in the beginning about how this may be the last generation of human pilots to fly because we don't need them anymore. We need drones. But this is a mission that shows you do need the human touch. But they never really touch on it again. It's just kind of like, hey, you may be teaching the last class I will ever do this because drones are coming. Bye.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's almost like a matter of fact of like drones are coming, you are obsolete, the end of it. But it would have been nice if we're going to try to do this bunker strike with our drones to prove like you would have that asshole
yeah,
who's trying to sell the military on this new tech and Maverick's there telling them like no, you need human intuition. Oh, humans freeze up and blah, blah, look at the statistics. And they try to do it with the drones and it fucks up so royally that it's like we're going to start a huge conflict. We got to get our guys out there, and it proves oh you do need some human interaction when it comes to war. But no, they don't really talk about it ever again.
yeah. I mean, I think my I'm surprised they didn't do something with that. But I guess that line is more of just a hey, Tom Cruise is like it's more of the concept of uh like this is the end of Tom Cruise's story, you know, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's just yeah, this will be the last generation that does this. This is the goodbye letter to you guys. It's not so much as like, oh look, drones replace it's because like of course drones would replace you. It's like you just you can program the exact specifications of like the height of the mountains and like there's no reason for that to ever fail.
Yeah.
Like they're drones are great, you know. I mean, they're not great because they just murder indiscriminately.
Yeah,
But what I'm
it's
saying is,
easier to kill people when all you have to do is fly a plane and go,
yeah,
cool video
but what I'm
game.
saying is like there's no way I could buy that Tom Cruise is a better pilot than a computerized drone because
Yeah.
it wouldn't make mistakes unless it was programmed
And we
correctly.
need to worry about the G's.
Yeah,
It
it
has to
it
pull.
could go at top speed
Yeah,
and
and
like
it can
fly perfectly.
fly right into one of the missile launchers and destroy it, and who cares because there's no loss of human
Yeah,
life.
yeah. But in that regard, I'm glad they didn't try and like do stealth, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
movie Stealth with
Yep.
Jessica Biel and Jamie Foxx,
Classic.
where it's just like they have to compete with
Mm-hmm.
a flying machine. It's like, no, like it's just we need you guys to do this until we can have the ability to not do anything.
Seems like a no-brainer scene of like, oh, you guys don't really know how to dogfight. Instead of just getting target lock, we want you to shoot down these drones. And so then you have half the team, or you have the team of the best pilots on a controller versus the pilots in a plane, and that could have been a fun scene of just them shooting down all the drones and being smug about it,
Mhm.
and then the drone people go licking their wounds. But they don't do anything like that.
Yeah, but I think that would have just padded the movie and made it because this movie's 2 hours and 11. If it was
Yeah,
pushing 2:30, it would be like, all right, wrap it up.
yeah. After they blow it up and then like save the day, and Tom Cruise's plane goes down, I realize like, okay, if he's not dead, which I know he's not going to be dead,
Right.
this movie still has a little bit of time to go, and then they have to hijack this other plane and take it back, and then there's even more dogfights, which are all good.
Yeah.
But by that time, I'm like, let's get it done.
Yeah, I was surprised because honestly, I thought very much like the first movie. I mean, I think at the end of the first movie, they do get a surprise like visitor or whatever, and have to dogfight that guy or
Mm.
whatever, or the three of them. But it was just like, okay, you need to pull off two miracles. I kept saying it's like one miracle did it this time, and another miracle did it the second time, and they do that. I thought like, oh, that's the climax of the movie. They complete the mission. They're gonna
Mm-hmm.
fly over. It's like, are they gonna pass out and die? Nope, they don't. Okay, they're gonna land and be like, you can be my wingman anytime. They all go home and celebrate. Like that's the end of the movie. But it's like so they do the climax, and then there's still another climax
Yeah.
coming. And so I was very surprised. I was like, oh, this movie's still going on. Which, like you said, it's all great,
Mm-hmm.
but
It gets
it's
to
just
the
surprised.
craziest. Like we get the enemy version of Maverick that
Hmm.
who's in a better plane is doing these crazy cartwheels in the air. Uh, so it makes sense to have this, but it just felt like it started to overstay its welcome.
Yeah, and obviously you can do it and make it in nondescript, but it's like it almost kind of, when you have another pilot who's like the Maverick version of this enemy territory, it's like, oh, well, I want to see like his training range. I want to know who this guy is. Like, why is he so good?
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But
doesn't
it's
matter.
like, I don't know. It just if you know the villain is so good, and you just get hints of how good he is or something throughout the movie. It's like when he finally shows up, it's just like, oh shit, here comes like the big thing.
Yeah,
But
and he ejected too, didn't he?
he did, yeah. I
Hmm, I think he
I
did.
think he did, yeah.
Are they saving him for Top Gun 3? So then,
Bottoms up. Yep,
yep.
yep, yep. So yeah, so at the end of this, we have this amazing sequence at the end where they blow up and they complete the mission, and Tom Cruise gets shot down. Or well, all these missiles are coming out and they're setting off their flares. The flares are blocking the missiles, or they're dodging the missiles, or whatever. And Tom Cruise, Rooster runs out of flares and he's about to get hit, and Tom Cruise comes back, lets his jet get hit. He goes down. You don't know if he's dead, and they're like, well, he's down. There's nothing you can do for him. We got to get out of there, otherwise they're gonna come for you guys. So come back to the ship. And then we cut away. Tom Cruise is alive, and then Tom Cruise is about to get killed by
A
a helicopter.
helicopter.
But who saves him? Rooster. Rooster
Of
came back
course.
for him, and then Rooster gets shot down. So
Yeah.
now they're both shot down behind enemy
Hmm.
lines. It's like, well, shit. What are we gonna do? Well, oh, remember that airfield we blew up early in the movie, so no airplane could get out. We're gonna fly an airplane out of
Yeah,
there
right out
because
of there.
there's one left.
But because they are, at least Tom Cruise, he's used to taking off from um, aircraft carriers. They have short runways,
Mhm.
so he's able to, stick the wings out further and does a thing. I don't know. I don't know to be
Yeah,
honest.
who cares?
Yeah, and is able to get out there, but hits his front landing gear. So now he can't land normally, and they got to catch it with a net. It's all very tense.
Yeah. And so they're on their way back, and then the
Hot shot,
hot shot
Brewski.
guy comes, and yeah, they have a fight, and they're about to lose, and then Hangman shows up, blows up the bad guy. So now Hangman has 2 kills, and Tom Cruise shot
That's
down a couple.
5.
Tom Cruise has 5, so that makes him an ace pilot.
Woo!
Um, cool. I get.
Yeah,
I don't
whatever
know.
that means.
Does that get him a pay raise? I don't.
Yeah,
I don't really.
did they even set that up of like what
No,
an ace pilot is?
no. Like I know the game Ace Combat. I just thought like ace was like a term for people who flew planes. I
You're
didn't
a
know
good pilot. You're an ace.
Yeah, I didn't know it was like you have to get 5 kills. It's like the
Ranking.
5 timers club at SNL. It's like, oh, once you kill 5 people, you're a
Yeah,
real
you're a
pilot.
real
Like,
ace.
wait, what? Um, yeah, so the ace pilot. But anyway, it was funny that they had this Death Star moment of like blowing up this small vat thing. It was just like we have to hit this real tiny target, shooting womp rats back at home. And then there's a scene where they're about to get shot down, and the Millennium Falcon shows up, and then Hangman shows up. And
Uh-huh.
it's like I was just waiting for him to go like, oh, let's go home, kid. It's just I just thought they'd make some reference to that, even though like, no one in the movie has any connection to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so it was a fun Star Wars spin-off
Yeah.
movie. Also, uh,
I really thought when the helicopter showed up to shoot down or shoot Tom Cruise after his plane had crashed, because he stayed in the cockpit as he went down. He didn't eject. So I thought he still had his parachute, and you had this helicopter, and he was gonna undo the parachute. It'd get caught in the wind, and it would wrap around the helicopter and get caught up, and it would
that's such a
explode.
Tom Cruise thing to
Absolutely.
do.
And it would work for Mission Impossible, but it's like, okay, well, you can't have an action scene that you're not in a plane. You can't really have on the ground action. That's not what Top Gun is.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why they didn't do it. But now I really want to see that.
Uh, well, I'm glad they didn't do that because that would have been stupid. And he might have. I don't remember exactly, but he might have ejected. It's just
I
we saw him in, but yeah, his parachute wasn't connected to him, but he was
I
just
think
laying on the ground.
he was still in the cockpit, it seemed like.
I think he was just laying in the snow.
There was metal around him, and you
He was
it's
just down
just the
for
seat.
whatever. It doesn't matter. Uh,
Let's go back to the theater right now.
watched it again. I mean, I would watch it again. I had a great time. Uh, yeah, and they get back to the boat, and it's very reminiscent of the last
Shot
scene,
for shot
pretty
almost.
much. And then they get back to Tom Cruise's personal hangar, and
Hmm.
him and Rooster are working on his plane, and Jennifer Connelly shows up with a daughter, and she's sitting in front of an Aston Martin. I think it's an Aston Martin, which is like the most expensive cars in the world. It's like this chick owns a bar. It's
Yeah.
like, where did she get this car from?
There's a lot of people in that bar all the time, it seems
I
like.
just,
So
I was,
but they
I
always
was,
say
I
one
was
of the
like,
least profitable things to own is like a bar or a restaurant. You're not going to be a millionaire from that.
I was like, I'm sure it was just like product placement. It's like, oh, you just wanted to show a cool car. It's like, Maverick's cool, of course. Jennifer Connelly's cool too.
Not
But
going to
it's
show
just
up in a
like,
Honda Civic.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not a car guy, but I look at that car. It's like that's $1 million car.
Yeah.
Why does she have
Why
it?
does she have
It's
it?
so yeah. She should have showed up in like a Honda Civic.
Yeah. Well,
He
some guy had his phone on the bar and he couldn't pay his tab, so he gave
just
the
gave us the
aftermarket.
car. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay. James Bond was there early.
Exactly.
I'm gonna
Um,
look up how much that car cost.
yeah. So quickly, in the first movie, there's like three main songs. You have your main theme, your just like at that tempo, and then you have Danger Zone, and then you have Take My Breath Away, and they love these songs.
Yeah.
Danger Zone is played three times. The main theme is played three times, and Take My Breath Away is played three times. And I know there are other songs in the movie, but they really just they found this is the sound that when you hear these things, you're gonna think of Top Gun, and it works because every time I hear those well, mainly two songs in one theme, I do think of Top Gun. And so I was trying to keep track for this one. They only do Danger Zone once, right at the beginning, quick and easy. They do the main theme, I think, three times, pretty quick within the first half hour, but they're short snippets. And they don't do Take My Breath Away or even You've Lost That Loving Feeling. I thought they would do that, but they also bring back Great Balls of Fire. Whatever. I got nothing on it. Oh, we get a Lady Gaga song. That's kind of odd for
Well, that's just it's like this movie can't win a ton of Oscars. Maybe we can get best original song.
maybe. Anything else about Top Gun Maverick?
Uh, no, I loved it. It's a total smash. I want to say I'm gonna give it a A minus.
Yeah, I
I
gave it a B plus.
I really really had a fun time, and I think it's a movie that should be seen in theaters.
Oh yeah, like
Which like
climax. I bet this would be great.
which a lot of people say that's like you have to see this
Yeah,
movie in theaters. It's just like marketing ploy. It's like I can see Endgame on. It's like obviously I'm well. I take that
that's a
back.
bad one.
Yeah, I take that back. I take that back. But there's lots of
Say Fantastic Beasts 3.
yeah, there's lots of big budget Hollywood blockbusters that's like, okay, I know I could enjoy that on this like the Batman.
Yeah,
I could see that on a small screen,
sure.
perfectly fine. But this movie, like, it had to be seen on the big screen.
Yeah,
It is worth it.
and we had pretty close seats, so it was good. Uh, Not quite IMAX, but big enough. But yeah, I would also recommend this movie. I would say it's probably on my top 10 of the year so far. Will it stay there? Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so I guess that's it. Let's wrap it up. If you want to get in contact with us, we are at wrplpodcast@gmail.com or on Twitter and Instagram, WRPL Podcast. Let us know what your call sign is.
Tell us what your favorite Top Gun porn parody is. By the way, the according to JD Power, whatever this fucking shit is,
Yeah.
the original it's a 1973 Porsche 911.
Okay.
The original price was $10,000. The low retail nowadays is 130,000. The average retail is 191,000, and high retail is $285,000.
That's nuts.
So it's
That is
cheaper than I thought, but still
that's way too expensive. But all right, so hit us up. Let us know what you want us to talk about. And as always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
Good night.